No. Their answer, you don't want to know. Shop surprise fee free with Henna, where the price you see is the price you get. Absolutely no addendums ever. You deserve honesty, and that's what we run on. Together, let's drive at henna.com.
What up, beautiful people? This is Bruno Mars, and this is Romantic Radio with me.
Romantic Radio with Bruno Mars.
We are live on iHeartRadio stations, taking dedications. This is my radio show. This is Romantic Radio. So we got some callers calling in.
So, you got something for me?
Do I got something for you?
Don't miss Romantic Radio with Bruno Mars in celebration of his newly released album, The Romantic.
Can't wait for y'all to hear it.
Hear it every night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the free iHeartRadio app's Love Songs Radio.
From the Audio-Visual Consultation Studios, Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KBET AM Austin, your home for the Horns, and the #1 preset in your car and on the free iHeartRadio app. He's a Texas legend, a Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and your host of the Craig Way Show. Here he is now, Craig Way.
Good afternoon on this Thursday, March 12th. The Longhorn men's basketball team awaiting its bubble fate after last night's loss to Ole Miss. And we'll talk about it right off the top here on the Craig Way Show. My name is Jake Herman. So happy to have you with us here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone, with you from 2 to 5 here this afternoon. And we've got an exciting show for you because things are, well, about to get anxious if you're a Texas men's basketball fan after a very disappointing defeat last night at the hands of Ole Miss in the first round of the SEC tournament by a final score of 76-66. We're going to recap that. We're going to hear from Longhorns head coach Sean Miller, some of his post-game thoughts from Nashville. We'll also check in with Craig Way in Nashville towards the top of the 4 o'clock hour on today's program and get some of his takeaways from the game. Of course, Craig staying in Nashville the rest of the week on some conference play-by-play assignments. He'll have the call for the SEC radio network on some of the remaining SEC tournament games. So we'll get some of his thoughts on not just Texas, but the rest of the SEC tournament field as it shakes out. And we'll also keep you posted on all of the relevant results around the sport today that might either help or hinder Texas's bubble chances, because the Longhorns did not do themselves any favors here the way they closed things out down the stretch of the season, starting all the way back with the loss to Arkansas a week ago. Longhorns had a chance there, their last chance for kind of a statement road win, and were not able to keep that game competitive, losing 105-85. Then Oklahoma came to town, right? And like we told you on the show, Texas could have both boosted its SEC tournament seeding, earned a Wednesday bye, or just in general, help its own resume out. Couldn't put the Sooners away with that second half lead. Lost 88-85 in overtime. So then that set up a game against the number 15 seed in the 16-team SEC, Ole Miss. Longhorns, had they taken care of business yesterday, would have felt a whole lot better hitting the pillow last night, waking up this morning, getting a chance to play Georgia. Instead, Ole Miss will take on Georgia in the third game of the day, the third quarterfinal of the day. Well, second round game, I should say, at the SEC tournament, which is now down to 12 teams. And last night, Texas got off to a slow start, never able to recover. The Longhorns were kind of stuck in the mud offensively throughout this game. Aside from Dalen Swain, who is his usual very, very effective self, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. He only got 9 shots up, though, in this game. Chris Beard and his Ole Miss team did a really good job of helping out on Dalen Swain. Felt like every time Swain got the ball, the whole Ole Miss defense moved on a string with him. And the Longhorns, whether it was just a lack of adjustments or a lack of execution, were not able to ever find their typical rhythm on offense. And one thing we know about this Texas team, they need to score points because they have some weaknesses on the defensive end. They spent the entirety of the season outside the top 100 as far as Ken Palm's defensive efficiency goes. And Ole Miss was making shots and not turning the ball over in this game. It's a Texas team that doesn't get a whole lot of free offensive points from their defense. And in this game, that was taken to an extreme. The Longhorns had 0 points off of turnovers. Nada. Zilch. So that really compounded, I think, some of the offensive struggles that the Longhorns dealt with in this game. And Ole Miss had a role to play in that. Rebels certainly played a lot more complete of a game than the first time these two teams had met. They also were a little bit more efficient on the offensive side, making some tough shots as opposed to what we're accustomed to seeing from Ole Miss this year. But bottom line is this, Ole Miss had lost 12 of its 13 games coming into this matchup with Texas, and the Longhorns just unable to put them away or really gain any kind of a foothold in the game last night. After the slow start, the Longhorns, I thought, did a good job getting to the free throw line, trying to work their way back into the contest. They were down 10 at the under 8 timeout, worked it down to a 3-point game with under 4 minutes to go. And the key to that was getting to the free throw line, like they've done so well throughout the season. Texas, in particular, Dalen Swain and Monas Vokatitis do an excellent job of drawing fouls. And so in a game that was very, very physical, the Longhorns started to get to the line, and that allowed them to score without the clock moving and really clawed their way back into making this thing a competitive contest. But there were a couple of key possessions, and I wrote this down. Longhorns were down 3 with 3 minutes left, and just a couple of tough sequences. You had a turnover by Tremont Mark where he was looking for a foul on the play, didn't get the call, and instead of sprinting back, Longhorns were in a shorthanded situation, ended up fouling a 3-point shooter, something that Sean Miller has been pretty irate with throughout the season. Then Longhorns got the ball back. Same thing happened on a Jordan Pope turnover. He's looking for a call. Maybe should have been a foul. Seemed like Sean Miller was asking for a foul, didn't get it. All of a sudden, you're late on the help the other way, giving up a dunk. I thought Nick Cody did some great things defensively late in this game, had a big block leading to a fast break 3 from Jordan Pope. Cam Heide made some hustle plays down the stretch, had a key and 1 to kind of cut the deficit down to 6, at least ask the questions of Ole Miss late in this game. He had a chance to make this a 1-point game, had a good look at a layup with under 3 minutes to go, missed it after doing a lot of little things well, almost like that elbow Cam Heide took to the face in the second half really kind of woke him up, and we saw Cam make the kind of impact he's capable of down the stretch. But all in all, with those silver linings from Cody and Heide aside, this Longhorn bench didn't give Texas much in this game, and it's been a theme for Texas down the stretch. Bench points were 24-5 in Ole Miss's favor, and I mentioned those 4 points from Cam Heide all came pretty late in the ball game. Just makes you wonder, though, seeing those hustle plays by Cody and Heide late, maybe what could have been for Texas in this game had they gotten a few more easy fast break looks for their offense off of those defensive and hustle plays. Because for a large part of this game, Ole Miss, as Craig and Eddie pointed out, was dominating the second chance points, dominating the 50-50 balls, and making life really difficult on Texas to try and convert in the paint. Ole Miss owned the paint in this game, 50-18, the difference in points in the paint. And the steals, Ole Miss 12, Texas only 1. So facing a team that was 12-19 and really struggling to win SEC games. I talked on the show yesterday with Chris Marler from Locked On Gamecocks, who also covers the SEC at LouisianaSports.net. he almost predicted, look, based on what we had seen from Ole Miss, this team was going to roll over. I kind of hinted at it, hey, not so fast, right? You know that the matchup means a little something extra for an Ole Miss team that feels as though they let one get away at Moody Center, not to mention the Chris Beard aspect of it all, coaching against his former team. But the result was a game that was one of Texas's worst all year in terms of offensive efficiency, and we'll get into some of that as the show rolls along. So what does it mean for Texas, who now finds itself in an even less secure spot on the bubble? We were talking a couple weeks ago about how Texas was basically off the bubble, had a chance to win its way into the tournament, and now perhaps they're in a spot where they don't have as much control over their own destiny. Joe Lunardi wrote that after crunching the overnight numbers, after initially keeping Texas in his last 4 byes, the Longhorns, he wrote, hurt itself more in a loss to Ole Miss, and Oklahoma, who beat South Carolina in the last SEC game of the night, helped itself more than Lunardi first thought. So as a result, the Longhorns have dropped to last 4 in, and the Sooners up to first 4 out. So what does that mean? Texas rooting for a lack of bid thieves. They want something similar to what we saw last year, where teams at the top of their conferences win out, and those mid-major conferences like the Atlantic 10, the West Coast Conference, the MAC this year, the Mountain West, just hoping for the teams at the top who are already in at-large consideration to simply win it all, right? Prevent a team who was nowhere near the bubble from coming up and stealing a bid to this NCAA tournament, potentially knocking the Longhorns out of the field or out of the first 4, or out of the byes and into the first 4. That's what Texas hoping to avoid in this game today. But look, it's going to come down to these last few games, because Texas now having to move further down the list, right now listed on the last 4 in: Miami, Ohio, VCU, Texas, and then SMU. First 4 out, you got Auburn, who's playing against Tennessee later this afternoon. And then Indiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, all knocking on the door. And 3 of the first 4 out have games tonight. And San Diego State among the next 4 out, according to Joe Lunardi from ESPN, who has a 97% accuracy rate on his final projected field. San Diego State in action later tonight in the Mountain West. So the loss for Miami, Ohio, the undefeated season that is no longer, that hurts the Longhorns as well, because according to Joe Lunardi, Miami, Ohio remains in the field as an at-large team following its loss to UMass. Auburn falls back out of the field pending its date later this afternoon with Tennessee. So not only does Miami, Ohio move into the at-large field rather than AQ, another MAC team is going to come up and take a bid away. That just means one less spot for an at-large team on the bubble potentially. And you can debate the merits of 32-1 Miami, Ohio with its relatively weak schedule, particularly in the non-conference this season. But it looks as though 32 wins could be enough to get Miami, Ohio in the field, even though they've got 32 wins. Not one of them qualifies as quad 1. And Travis Steele has talked about, their coach, about how difficult it is for them to schedule quad 1 teams based on kind of the risk reward calculation that goes into all of that, and just the fact that the MAC as a league, maybe not what it has been in past seasons. But the silver lining for Texas is that the rest of the bubble is not exactly kicking the door down, right? Texas has left the door open a crack, along with some other teams, with losses yesterday. And rather than kicking that door down, the rest of the bubble is simply walking away. Indiana lost to Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament last night. They're one of the first 4 out at the moment. They're 1-6 in their last 7. Auburn, if they lose today, would have ended their regular season 2-9 and suffered 16 losses. And no team with 16 losses has ever made the NCAA tournament field as an at-large. We've had teams with 16 losses make it, but that's because they won their conference. You've got the Longhorns, who are 1-5 in their last 6. Cal, who lost yesterday to Pitt. Down the stretch, they also lost to Wake Forest and Florida State, who are not in the projected field. You got Stanford, who was also taken out by Pitt a day earlier. We gave you live updates on that one during Tuesday's show. They maybe played themselves out of the field. Cincinnati, who lost to UCF, likely ending their shot at an at-large bid. SMU, who survived round 1 of the ACC tournament, wound up losing to Louisville last night, but they still ended their regular season on a 4-game losing streak. NC State, who's among the last 4 byes at the moment. Remember, Texas beat them in Maui, but they were not even close to the bubble before ending the regular season 1-6. Virginia Tech is in the first 4 out. They only won 3 of their last 10 games. San Diego State, who we're discussing as a potential riser from the next 4 out, they're still just 2-4 in their last 6. So nobody's kicking the door down. Nobody's taking advantage of the weak bubble. And that's really what this is turning into, a bubble that is not nearly as strong as usual. And so maybe that's the silver lining for Texas at the moment, who is surely disappointed with that performance in the ballgame last night. We're going to hear from a disappointed head coach, Sean Miller, after this next break. We're also going to dive a little deeper into Texas's bubble competition, tell you where CBS Sports' Matt Norlander has the bubble teams ranked and whether or not Texas, in his mind, is well situated to still be in the field on Selection Sunday. We won't know until Sunday night whether or not Texas is A, in the field at all, and B, having to play in Dayton, Ohio in the first 4, where, of course, their season ended last year at the hands of Sean Miller and his Xavier Musketeers. Later in the show, we'll also hear some sound bites from Colin Simmons, talk a little bit of Longhorn football with spring practice underway. Evan Vieth from Inside Texas, our good friend, will join us at 3:15 and give us some of his observations from there. We'll also give you a chance towards the end of this hour to give you a chance to win some concert tickets. So stay tuned for that coming up on the program. We invite you to text in your questions, your thoughts on this Texas basketball team, or just on anything else that you'd like us to discuss on today's show. Our text line is open for you at 81530. Make sure you text the word Texas, followed by your question or comment. And remember that standard message and data rates may apply. That's 81530. Text the word Texas, followed by your question or comment. And we will try to get to as many as we can during today's show. Time for our first break. Glad you're with us for the Craig Way Show on this Thursday afternoon. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
It's Bucky and BK.
You know, sometimes I'm not quite focused as I should be because I'm worrying about my hand modeling career, even at 71 years old. I was a hand model in high school.
Did you get any NIL money when you started playing college ball?
No.
Not for your hands?
No, not for my hands. No, not at all.
Team didn't need a hand model?
Nobody in the Boston area needed a hand model at the time.
Weekdays from 5 to 7 on AM 1300, The Zone.
Right now at Steel Round Rock GMC, the road to a new GMC has never been better. You get the Steel Standard, over $1,400 of protection for free, plus huge discounts, like $13,000 off 2026 GMC 1500s or $5,000 off 2026 GMC Canyons. We've also made it easier than ever to find a vehicle to fit your budget, like a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 lease for just $249 a month, because everything we do is driven by you. Steel GMC in Round Rock. GMC, we are professional grade.
The Maps app that came with your phone? It's fine if you enjoy waiting and guessing and inefficient routes. Or you could use MapQuest. MapQuest is back with live directions, real-time traffic, and faster routes. It moves when you move. Best of all, no printer needed. No paper, no more missed turns. Just you and the app. Get there fast with MapQuest. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit MapQuest.com. MapQuest, still getting you there.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Las Culturistas.
Matt and Bowen have updated the rules of culture, and you are currently in violation. Catch up immediately. Search Las Culturistas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The world's best bull riders. 1 shot, 8 seconds, no mercy. The rankest bulls in the sport are waiting. This is professional bull riding. Watch it live as we unleash the beast. This weekend from Florida State University, only on Paramount Plus.
TruGreen, the easiest way to get a golf course quality lawn. Don't wait. Sign up at TruGreen.com and get your first application for $9.95. TruGreen, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. Let the pros do the work so you can enjoy your weekend. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone. The Longhorns live here. It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
Might never be again. Maybe we know better than to try and pretend. I know I'm going around talking about this for 7 days. Yeah. The waiting is the hardest part. Every day, see one more card.
I think this Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers cut sums up where Texas fans are right now. The waiting, it's going to be hard over the next few days as Texas hopes that they've done enough to still make the field of 68 NCAA March Madness Selection Sunday on the horizon. We know the Texas women have likely done enough to lock up a number 1 seed, potentially draw into the Fort Worth Regional should they qualify for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. The Texas men, maybe not so much. We'll see how it all shakes out on the bubble. CBS Sports' Matt Norlander is taking a look under the microscope at the different bubble teams, and he's already locked up UCF, Iowa, Ohio State, and NC State as NCAA tournament teams. Here's how he ranks, Matt Norlander, 8 teams he feels are still alive on the bubble. And the key here is you don't know how many of these bubble teams will have spots, depending on how many bid stealers are still out there in the field lurking. So if you're Texas right now, you pretty much want chalk the rest of the way in these conference tournaments. Unfortunately for the Longhorns, Miami, Ohio was unable to carry its perfect season through the MAC tournament. So that will now be a 2-bid league rather than 1, as long as the Redhawks are not left out of the tournament with their 32-1 polarizing record. Okay, number 1, Matt Norlander's got Missouri, who he says is likely in, but a loss to Kentucky today would introduce a sliver of doubt. And that's exactly what happened. Kentucky beat Missouri 78-72 in a game that just went final a little bit before we started the show today. And it was a pretty close game throughout. Missouri made it a little tighter in the second half. Kentucky was faster out of the starting blocks. And so Missouri, who does not have any quad 3 losses, has a pretty weak non-conference strength of schedule, but they have 9 quad 1 and 2 wins compared to just 7 for the Longhorns. Missouri's got 5 quad 1 wins. This might be a frustrating one for Texas fans because if you remember, the Longhorns went to Columbia and beat Missouri pretty handily in that game. Number 2, VCU out of the Atlantic 10, who Norlander says keeps rising as other bubble teams keep losing. Number 3, SMU, whose resume slid after a loss to Louisville on Thursday, but they didn't have their point guard, B.J. Edwards, available. So we'll see how the committee holds his potential season-long absence against SMU, because I don't know if he's going to be back. There are reports that he might be for the NCAA tournament. Then again, that's SMU putting that out there. Maybe it hopes that the committee doesn't knock them for it. So it's an SMU team that is ranked pretty much side by side with Texas now in Ken Pom and Torvik. Longhorns are number 4 on that bubble. Remember, we told you there'd either be 3 or 4 spots for these teams based on the way the bracket looks. Norlander said Texas took a damaging loss to Mississippi last night, now sits with 14 defeats. Brings their resume average to 50th. He says danger zone, 42nd in the predictive metrics. The predictive metrics have been a little bit ahead of where the resume metrics are for Texas over the last few weeks. Longhorns 7-13 in quad 1 and 2. 6 of those 7 wins, though, were in quad 1. They do have the 1 quad 3 loss. It was the home game that they let get away against Mississippi State. 11-14 across the top 3 quadrants, 5-8 in road neutral games. So that puts them 1 spot ahead of New Mexico, who is 5th. Auburn is 6th. This Auburn team is going to get a lot of discussion on Selection Sunday because of their schedule, right? They played the number 1 strength of schedule this season. They play Tennessee tonight. If Auburn beats Tennessee, Norlander writes, it's going to fly up this ranking. So the Longhorns could really use Rick Barnes' team to take care of Auburn tonight. If the Tigers don't win the SEC, they're guaranteed at least 16 losses, which, like we told you last segment, would be the most among an at-large bid ever given out. San Diego State at number 7. Oklahoma is number 8. Matt Norlander writes they can enter the conversation with a win over Texas A&M, but another loss likely ends the discussion. He's essentially ruled out a couple of the ACC teams who fell short last week, Virginia Tech, Stanford, and Cal, and Indiana, who lost to Northwestern last night, taking another damaging defeat. So that's kind of where Texas is, maybe right near that cut line in the mind of a lot of analysts' minds at the moment. So Sean Miller last night after the loss, reflecting on kind of what it means for his team, both in the context of the game and the bigger picture. First, his opening statement on what was at the top of his mind after the game.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Ole Miss. I know they've had a number of tough losses, following them closely over the last month in tough conference, the SEC, and they've been right there to win a number of games and didn't. And I thought their togetherness, their fight, their intensity today was really good, and they deserved the win that they got. And wish them very, very best in their next game.
Yeah, it's like Craig mentioned when we checked in with him courtside yesterday. Ole Miss had been knocking on the door in several of those SEC games, particularly down the stretch. It was Ole Miss who came out of the gates very well in this game, and it's been an unfortunate theme for Texas, thinking about the slow starts at both Arkansas and Oklahoma. Sean Miller was asked, how can you avoid those going forward if given the chance to play again? And will you look at any changes perhaps to the starting lineup?
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. It's been a problem on and off throughout our season. In a nutshell, though, if you look at the game, 13 turnovers by us, 3 by them. It's a difference of 10 turnovers. And, so many times off of turnovers, they get 13 points, right? And we had 0. Our ability to take care of the ball against their defense, and just the overwhelming discrepancy of scoring in the paint. They had 50 points. And, you think about it, 50 of 76 came in the paint, and they made 1 3. And we just didn't have the ability to defend them. What was different today, because throughout our season, as you know, we've had those stretches where we've struggled defensively, but we more than make up for it because we score. And during those stretches, it doesn't bury us as much as it buried us tonight, because we're able to score on our end, be efficient on our end. Tonight, we struggled to score, having those 13 turnovers, probably our worst performance. I think if you look at points per game, it might be our overall worst performance of the season when you consider offensive efficiency. So our defense was not good, but it's been masked so many times throughout this season because of our offense. And tonight we weren't able to score. We didn't execute, and that's a credit to Ole Miss.
No doubt about it. Ole Miss turning Texas over. It wasn't just the quantity of turnovers, it was the timing. CPAO on the text line pointed out to us during the break, Texas had 3 possessions when they were down by 3, and all ended in turnovers. He said particularly Simeon Wilcher was turnover prone in this game. You look at Wilcher, he had just the 1 turnover in this one on the final box score, but I agree with you there that his minutes maybe not as impactful as Sean Miller would have liked. 23 minutes out there for Sim, and was not able to get on the score sheet. Just had a couple of defensive rebounds in the game. But it's a total team effort, and on Texas's part, they were not able to get the looks they wanted near the rim. And Longhorn shot just 8 of 19 at the rim, 4 of 15 from the mid-range. And this was a big area where I felt the game was won and lost. Texas forced into so many tough mid-range shots, and Ole Miss 11 of 24 from the mid-range. So as an area of the floor where they dominated, they did a good job taking away a lot of the Longhorns' middle actions on offense, and just never allowing Texas to get rhythm. And to Sean Miller's point about the offensive efficiency, the Longhorns are outside the top 10 now in that category in KenPom, falling all the way back to 16th. And Bart Torvik even harsher on the impact on Texas's offense from this game, now outside the top 20 in that metric to 22nd on the season. It takes a lot. It takes a big outlier this late in the season to drop your offensive efficiency, or defensive efficiency for that matter, by so much. And according to the Torvik points for 100 possessions offensive efficiency, this was the Longhorns' second worst performance of the season. So Sean Miller almost spot on in his analysis. The opener against Duke, the only day that Texas had a less efficient day at the office on the offensive end. So did Ole Miss do something different to cause these struggles, or was it more a failure of execution? Here's Sean Miller's thoughts.
No, they switched our ball screens and pick and roll. And Ole Miss they'll change their coverages. They can ice. They'll switch. Can double team, trap. They mix it up. That's what they do. And it's not really just them. I mean, when you're at game 32, you've at this point seen virtually every scheme, right? You've played against teams that deny, switch, and we have to be adept at being able to handle that with poise, execution, take what the defense gives. But we struggled from the opening tip tonight. Again, I credit Ole Miss. I thought of all the games that we played this year, especially from the offensive perspective, it's the most we struggled. And defensively, we've had our struggles, and tonight was more of the same.
How about those difficulties Texas had on the interior, and what led to those, and what might the fixes be for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the statistic you're referring to is they scored 50 points in the paint. Again, throughout our season, there haven't been a lot of teams that have gotten 50 from the paint. They made only 1 3. They shot 10 threes and made 1 3. It's not easy in college basketball to win a game when you're 1 for 10 from 3. But we struggled tonight. We struggled from the opening tip, first 4 minutes. And I really thought to some degree some of the things that hurt us against Oklahoma, our last home game in the second half, showed up here today as well.
We'll hear a little more from Sean Miller later in the show, including his thoughts on the NCAA tournament picture and some interesting comments there about balancing this season's expectations with where he wants the program to ultimately be building towards. Of course, this only being year number 1. But up next, we'll bring you some more of the strange and inconceivable. Yep, our favorite segment is coming up right after this. Inconceivable on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
You know that water in our lakes is a precious resource that we can all work together as a community to save. Austin Water offers simple ways to use less and make a big impact around your home and yard. Find your watering day, explore rebates, and get more tips at austinwater.org.
Prediction markets talk outcomes. BetOnline puts odds behind them. For decades, bettors have trusted BetOnline for accurate lines, deep prop markets, and real money action across every major sport. Get the latest odds, live props, in-game action, and expert pricing throughout the season. And don't forget to check out BetOnline Casino, delivering nonstop action and premium rewards. Don't guess with the crowd. Bet with the book that's been doing it right for years. BetOnline. The game starts here.
For over 30 years, CertaPro Painters has been part of countless memories. Every wall tells a story, and we've been proud to help write them. We are more than just your local painters, with care, craftsmanship, and certainty. From the first brushstroke to the final smile, our promise is simple. Your home beautifully painted and worry-free. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Harge here, and it's March Madness at Cover Ford Hutto. This month, the savings are heating up, and the competition doesn't stand a chance. Right now, score $13,991 off MSRP on a new 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning Flash. Or drive away with a slam dunk and save $11,583 off of MSRP on a new 2025 Ford F-150 XLT. See dealer for details. Get championship-level trucks and SUVs backed by the legendary Covert Family Service. That's Covert Ford Hutto right off of 79 in Hutto. CovertFordHutto.com.
You're in entire sports feed all in one place with iHeartRadio. Tournament coverage.
Launches a three. Got it.
NFL free agency.
Buffalo's got their quarterback, their running back. Now they've got their number one.
And the first pitch of the new baseball season. At the wall! Oh, my goodness! You're one tap away. Open the iHeart app and stream your local sports stations. Catch the latest news on Fox Sports Radio or dive into the world's biggest sports podcasts. Open the free app, search sports, and listen now.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
Just before midnight on Saturday, February 19th, 2005, Danielle Imbo and her friend Richard Patrone left a crowded Philadelphia bar. The two 30-somethings planned to walk to Richard's truck and drive home, but they never made it.
It does not make sense. It's like they literally vanished.
The two were never seen again.
Not just them, but a truck disappeared into the ether.
Was it an accident, or were they murdered?
No one had a motive to kill them.
Those same questions frustrated law enforcement. The FBI called it murder for hire.
Who killed these two individuals and how did they get rid of them?
Both of them weren't the target. One of them was the target. The other one was wrong place, wrong time.
But which victim was the intended target and why?
It was definitely murder for hire for Danielle, not for Richard.
You're right, it could be. But it also could be something your son did too.
No one was looking to kill Richard. No one.
He's your son. And in your eyes, he's innocent. But in my eyes, he's just some guy my sister was with.
Fingers were pointed, allegations were made, and lines were drawn.
That drove the wedge between the families.
What happened to Danielle and Richard?
I think that whatever happened to my dad and Danielle was planned and orchestrated and thought out.
I'm Andrea Gunning. In this series, I dig into my own investigation to find answers for the families and get justice for Richard and Danielle.
I just want some peace for my sister's soul, and I want some peace for my mother.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, your home for the Horns.
Okay, inconceivable on a Thursday afternoon, and I've got to tease something now that's going to come a little bit later in the show. You see, usually this is when we bring you the fast food, junk food update, but we have some junk food, fast food updates to get to, but we're going to save them for later in the show today because Craig and I have each tried the Big Arch from McDonald's. The one that Craig has suggested in earnest that McDonald's reach out to Arch Manning, make it a partnership. So we'll get to that later on. We'll give our thoughts on that when we visit with Craig in the 4 o'clock hour. For now, let's talk some weird sports news. First off, it was a little chilly this morning. And I woke up, it was in the mid-40s, kind of an odd surprise. Moving from D.C., I guess that's cold to me now. One of those moments where I didn't realize that I'd lost all my cold immunity I built up in North Dakota. Not as cold as it was in the town of Sala, Finland this week, though, where traditional reindeer racing that's been delighting spectators for decades brought hundreds of fans to the Reindeer Cup. Despite frigid sub-freezing temperatures at its remote location near the Russian border in Finland, thousands of fans watched and cheered as the reindeer galloped across a snow-covered track, pulling their handlers behind them on skis. Reindeer husbandry, AP reports, has been an important part of Scandinavian culture for many decades, especially for the indigenous people in the far north of the country. These days, it's a organized, regulated competition, but this event, even in the cold, was called the Hot Series, in which reindeer qualify if they race the kilometer-long, half-mile track. in a minute, 19 seconds or less. Just a time trial. Only the fastest reindeer get to compete in this race. One of the leading experts on this sport said it's science. A lot depends on the reindeer's character. It has to tolerate a lot. The audience, other reindeer, noise, movement, everyone has their tricks. And they're usually kept like this under the fur hat. Every owner has their own way. I wonder if Craig Way would ever call reindeer racing in Finland. Wouldn't put it past him. During the race, crowds cheered their favorites on with Finnish calls of good, go, go, as the reindeer sprinted down the final stretch. At the end of the competition, the final rounds, the reindeer named Pom Pom won the final race. But that wasn't the weirdest sport to happen involving Finland this weekend. No, not even close. Because it was a Finnish couple who claimed victory in the annual UK wife-carrying race over the weekend in London, one of the world's quirkiest annual sports events. Tiimu Tuovainen and Jata Laininen from Finland, I hope I said those close to correctly, using my hockey knowledge, were crowned the winners at a minute 45 seconds, and their prize, a barrel of local ale. In the wife-carrying race, wives and girlfriends cling on to their partners for dear life while they get carried up and down a hillside in the UK. These days, it's less competitive and more emphasis placed on the fun of this thing. Silly costumes are encouraged. Racers can be males or females carrying anyone over 18 and weighing at least 110 pounds. If you're underweight, you need to wear a rucksack filled with flour or water to bring them to the minimum weight. It's a backpack. This is a story by a British journalist. Couples can choose their own carrying technique, although most favor the traditional Estonian hold, where the wife hangs upside down on the carrier's back, quote-unquote wife, with their legs crossed in front of the quote-unquote husband's face. The Estonian hold. Contestants race up a gently sloping hillside and back down, clearing obstacles like low rows of hay bales and having buckets of water thrown at them for good measure. The course is 416 yards long, a long way under the circumstances, organizers noted. While it's still a niche sport, this Scandinavian sport has a following in the UK, the US, Australia, Poland, and other countries. First started in 2008. Now it has a following on Inconceivable. Finally, adding to our cold weather theme today, just this afternoon, a paraglider had to make an emergency landing on a packed ski slope after spending hours in the air. This happened at a vacation resort where a paraglider in South Korea had to make the emergency landing. As the paraglider drops lower and lower, you can see people on the mountain start to look up at it overhead. He's landing in a busy area along a ski run. If you remember when the Winter Olympics were in South Korea, they've got beautiful skiing mountains there. The paraglider had been flying for roughly 2 hours before seeking a place to land, but despite landing on a busy intermediate slope, no collisions were reported and no injuries were occurred. So that's pretty skillful as far as emergency landings are concerned. In the middle of a crowded ski mountain, able to dodge traffic and survive. So there's Inconceivable with a little wintry theme as we head on into spring. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone will continue with the Craig Way Show in a moment.
In their inaugural season in the SEC, the Texas Longhorns made history.
For the first time in 22 years, the Texas women are headed for the Final Four.
Now, they're back to finish what they started.
Oh, and she scores! And she scores!
Herman will hoist it from half court and makes it. Listen to Texas women's basketball all season long on 1300 The Zone. Your home for the Horns.
For some time now, you've heard me tell you about my friend Tom McKay and his great staff at Audio Visual Consultations, how they are the absolute best in the business when it comes to setting up your home entertainment system. Whether you're into having televisions set up and connected in multiple rooms or multi-screen TVs, home theater and surround sound setups, Tom and his crew can get it all set up for you. But AV Consultations has expanded beyond TVs and home theater experiences. For example, they are now dealers and custom installers of Foresight golf simulators. So if you're wanting to improve your golf game, AV can get you hooked up with a Foresight simulator that can do the trick. AV Consultations now also offers full home and landscape lighting and automated lighting control. Give Tom McKay and his staff a call today at 512-255-8678. That's 512-255-8678, or you can find them at avconsultations.com. Let Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams.
Pickleball is on the rise. 46.8 million players nationwide, with a projected $5 billion industry by 2033. Looking to be part of this exciting growth? Crush Yard offers a unique franchise opportunity, redefining the pickleball experience with indoor courts, exceptional dining, craft drinks, and entertainment. This is your chance to invest in a rapidly growing brand shaping the future of leisure. For a limited time, you can own a piece of the action. Visit CrushYardFranchising.com to learn more. Crush Yard. Eat, drink, crush.
Hey, Texas sports fans, Mike Harge here, and Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be part of the action with Texas baseball and softball game broadcast. Just like the athletes give it their all on the field, Thomas J. Henry and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork are crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for the injured people and their families. Visit tjhlaw.com or call 24/7 to get the help you need for you and your loved ones.
The world's best bull riders. One shot, 8 seconds, no mercy. The rankest bulls in the sport are waiting. This is professional bull riding. Watch it live as we unleash the beast. This weekend from Florida State University, only on Paramount Plus.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Texas roads are big enough to share. Drivers, do your part to help make sure everyone arrives home safely. Stay alert. Stop for pedestrians at crosswalks. Yield when turning. And watch your speed. Be safe. Drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
Run, don't mosey. The Texas sale is on its specs. Cheers to savings.
Hey boys, it's Kylie, and I have some exciting news. The grand opening of Texas' #1 sports bar, Rowdy Cowboy in Round Rock, is tomorrow. The doors swing open at 11 in the morning. Rowdy Cowboy has 69 Texas-sized screens, legendary wings, burgers, signature steaks, and the coldest beer under the Texas sun. The smoking hot Rowdy Cowgirls are ready to give you an unforgettable experience that will have you coming back for more. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, take a peek at GoRowdyCowboy.com. Rowdy Cowboy. Eat, drink, bottoms up.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone. Hook 'em horns.
As we wrap up our first hour of today's show, we hear from the Black Crowes. Guess what? You can too when they come to Moody Center for a concert on Sunday, May 17th. It'll be Black Crowes and Whiskey Myers. And to enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see that show, all you have to do is leave us a talkback message. A lot of you already know how to do this. If you don't, it's easy. Just download the iHeartRadio app, search AM 1300 The Zone, and then tap the red microphone button. That'll give you 30 seconds to leave us a message. And in order to be entered for the chance to win the tickets, you got to use the keyword. And today's keyword, crow. Crow, as in Black Crowes, for a chance to win tickets to see them along with Whiskey Myers at Moody Center. So that is your chance to win some tickets. Here's what's coming up in hour number 2 on the program today. Hear from Colin Simmons with reporters yesterday after the Longhorns' second day of spring practice. How are things looking on the defensive side, particularly under the tutelage of Will Muschamp? Getting to know everybody there. Some good stuff from Colin Simmons coming up here on the show. Then we'll visit with Evan Vieth from Inside Texas. Hear a little more from Sean Miller, including his thoughts on Selection Sunday and his mindset going into this little waiting game over the next few days. Then at 4 o'clock, we'll talk with Craig Way, who is in Nashville, staying there for the rest of the weekend to call the SEC tournament games on the conference's radio feed. So if you're watching some SEC basketball and you want to hear Craig, I'll tell you all about how you can do that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Glad to have you with us here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and on the free iHeartRadio app. We've got 1 hour in the books and 2 to go.
Searching online for a car? When you call that dealership, your first question should be, are there any extra costs to the price on your website? At Henna Chevrolet, our answer will always be no. Their answer, you don't want to know. Shop surprise fee free with Henna, where the price you see is the price you get. Absolutely no addendums ever. You deserve honesty, and that's what we run on. Together, let's drive at henna.com.
Hey, sports fans, Craig Way here. On the field, injuries can take even the best out of the game. But when you're sidelined because of someone's negligence, that's when you call the legal MVP, Dan Christensen.
Thanks, Craig. At DJC Law, we tackle the tough cases so clients can focus on recovery. And that's why we have a 99% win rate.
If you're injured in a wreck, call 512-888-9999. That's 512-888-9999 or teamjustice.com. Principal office, Austin, Texas.
The big movie awards are almost here, and now you can trade on what happens. Who wins Best Picture? Right now, One Battle After Another is trending at 74%. Sinners is at a 20%, meaning a $100 trade pays $500 if it wins. On Kalshi, you trade in a live market against other people, no house, and you can buy or sell anytime before the result. Trade the big movie awards and more on Kalshi, available in all 50 states. Download the Kalshi app and use code IHEART to get $10 when you trade $100. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Tournament time means office bracket pools. Suddenly, accounting is talking trash. HR is scouting the mid-majors. And an intern who picked the teams based on which campus has the better weather? Yeah, well, somehow he's winning. If your bracket needs emotional support, grab an ice cold Bud Light and ride it out with the rest of the tournament. Because Bud Light is the official domestic beer of Texas basketball. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Please enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Your entire sports feed all in one place with iHeartRadio. One tap away. Open the iHeart app and stream your local stations. Catch the latest on Fox Sports Radio or dive into the world's biggest sports podcast. Search sports on iHeartRadio and lock in.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say.
A father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try. He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
From the Audio-Visual Consultation Studios, Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KDET AM Austin, your home for the Horns, and the #1 preset in your car and on the free iHeartRadio app. He's a Texas legend, a Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and your host of the Craig Way Show. Here he is now, Craig Way.
It's on the next pitch. Lines it into left field. It's down for a base hit. Arzola playing shallow, got to it quickly. One good rips it through the left side. That's a base hit. Across the plate, Nichols up to third, Maloney. And Leanne Good has an RBI single. 5-0 Texas. Change up a long way. Way out to left field. Goodbye, Katie Stewart, a home run. Stewart, left center field, high and deep. A walk-off grand slam for the run rule victory. Longhorns lead-off walk here in the fifth. A couple of flyouts, an error, and a walk. Finally, Stewart taking care of things, sending everyone home happy. Combs Field.
Yeah, folks left the Combs Field happy, all right. That was our abbreviated highlight montage from an abbreviated victory for the Texas softball team. Taking care of East Texas A&M by a final score of 10-1 in 5 innings. Welcome back for hour number 2 on the program. I'm Jake Irvin. That was Andrew Haynes on the call for softball. If you heard last night on Retro Austin, tuned in and joined us. And, you heard both home runs for Katie Stewart in that game. Junior catcher really brought her back. A third career multi-home run game. Season high 2 home runs. She's now got 14 on the season. Texas has won 21 games in a row to get to 23-1 overall. But now prepare to start SEC play. Well, start their home SEC season against the Ole Miss Rebels at Charlene and Redmond Combs Field this weekend. So there's your softball montage after another dominant win for Mike White's crew. You heard a little bit from him on the program yesterday. Ranked number 3 in the country, still just the one loss. It came in the opening weekend of the season against Nebraska. So this weekend also marked the start of spring practice for the Longhorn football team. We've had the chance to hear from Coach Sark a little bit on the program earlier in the week. Today, we're going to bring you some sound bites from Colin Simmons in this segment. Coming up later in the hour, we'll talk to Evan Vieth from InsideTexas and get some of his thoughts on Longhorn basketball and spring practice. But first from Colin Simmons, who was asked first if he feels as though he's been stepping up as a leader already in the spring practices thus far.
I just feel like over time, I just matured, just being in this system, being around my teammates over time, just maturing, growing up, it come with age, right? So I was just maturing.
Does being a leader come naturally to Colin?
My grandma always told me I'm a natural born leader. My friends growing up, my friends always came over to pick me up from my crib so we can walk to school. So it was just like people naturally gravitate towards me, and I have no problem with it. I have no problem being a leader. Like, that's a role that I accept and I take.
How has it been thus far? This is a question that I'm sure a lot of Longhorn defensive players will be asked throughout the offseason program. What's it been like working with Will Muschamp, the former Longhorn defensive coordinator who was rehired in place of Pete Kwiatkowski after the season?
Man, great. I mess with Will. I mess with Muschamp. Everybody mess with Muschamp. Man, he a great coach. He pushes us every day. He want nothing but the best. Like, it's literally nothing other than the best. Like, he gonna get the best out of you. So, I'm just glad that, we got a dog on our team.
And had Colin Simmons heard much about Muschamp from other coaches or other teammates before his arrival?
I don't got to do no homework on him. People gonna tell you about him himself. People gonna talk for him. So it's like, just based off of people talking for him, it's like you already know what's about to happen. But just experiencing it firsthand, it's a great experience.
Back to the leadership note for the SEC sack leader, Simmons. How would he describe the way that he speaks to his teammates?
Treat them like they're my family. Treat them like they're my brother. Talk to them like they're my brother. Giving them respect like they're my brother. So, as long as we keep coming together and buying in as a family, then we're going to go as far as we go, as far as we take us.
What part of your game do you want to upgrade the most?
Everything. That ain't going to never stop. It's just going to be everything.
You heard the follow-up there from Kirk Bohls of the Houston Chronicle. And that's something that Colin Simmons is going to be asked a ton too. Someone who's already achieved the amount that he has, overcoming even what was a little bit of a slow start last year to lead the SEC in sacks, named to the All-SEC first team, a second-team All-American in 2025. So what motivates Colin to keep improving and keep building on that after the success?
It's a good question. That's what me and my coach was talking about yesterday, was finding a new motivation. And honestly, right now, I'm just having fun until I find another why. My why when I first came here was to move my mom out from where we was living at and stuff like that, move my mom and brother out. And, with me doing that, it was like, okay, what's next? So now I'm looking for what's next. But while I look for what's next, I'm just going out here and having fun.
Yeah, some nice stuff there from Colin, and a lot of the good side, I think, of the opportunity for Colin and other student athletes to earn name, image, and likeness revenue while playing at Texas. Colin talking later on in the press conference about the way that he's been able to really improve the quality of life for his family and for his 11-year-old younger brother who has autism, is able to now move in Austin and be in a better program to help his development along. So now Colin Simmons being asked later in the press conference about some of the new arrivals, starting with Rasheem Biles, the All-ACC linebacker who transferred in from Pitt. How has he been assimilating into the team?
Fitted right in. He fitted right in. He fit right in. Came in here, did what he was supposed to do, got adjusted to the game plan, got adjusted to Coach Muschamp, got adjusted to us as a team. I feel like everybody that Coach Sarkisian done brought into this program this year has been bought in and has accepted, like, hey, this is the team that we have. Everybody in this room is what we have and all we have.
Some of that starts with those who stuck around despite all the roster turnover to stay as kind of pillars and leaders of the team. A couple of those guys are on the interior defensive line. Hero Canoe, Alex January. Lots going to be expected of them in terms of leadership and production being back this season. Colin Simmons was asked, what's the benefit of retaining those two pieces?
Knowing that we still got that connection and that brotherhood meant a lot. Them coming back was a big key of the defensive line. With them just having a standard already set and showing the younger guys like how it's supposed to be done and stuff like that, which is really good for them, which is really good for us as a team.
Hearing from Colin Simmons here on this Thursday afternoon. A couple more from Colin. How about the new faces on the other side of the football? Anyone on offense standing out?
Of course, Jermaine Bishop, man, he's the dog. He came in here ASAP. Keon, of course, Cam Coleman. Who else? Raleigh, Hollywood, man, everybody.
And we'll get a chance to ask Evan Vieth a similar question in our next segment about which Longhorn players have stood out to him in what little we've seen in spring practice so far. How about Tyler Atkinson, the 5-star freshman linebacker? What are the first impressions that Simmons has had playing alongside him?
Bro, he a dog. He work hard. He keep his head down. He stay in his books. He stay in the playbook. He go to school, do everything right.
So lots going to be expected of this Longhorn defense as they try and gel in the spring under the guidance of Will Muschamp. Always good to get a little taste of Longhorn football here in late March. Of course, their spring game, we're still waiting for some details on what that all is going to look like. Currently scheduled to be played a little bit later on in the spring. I thought it was about a week from now. Let me confirm that in just a second. We're still waiting to hear a little more from Coach Sark on what exactly it'll look like. It's scheduled for April 18th at DKR, and we'll see what exactly Coach Sark and company have planned for that. I know CDC hinted at some exciting things happening on that particular day. Up next, we're going to talk to our friend Evan Vieth from InsideTexas, get his thoughts on last night's loss at the SEC tournament. Little Longhorn football talk coming your way as well. That's coming up on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and the iHeartRadio app.
The Maps app that came with your phone? It's fine if you enjoy waiting and guessing and inefficient routes. Or you could use MapQuest. MapQuest is back with live directions, real-time traffic, and faster routes. It moves when you move. Best of all, no printer needed. No paper. No more missed turns. Just you and the app. Get there fast with MapQuest. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit MapQuest.com. MapQuest, still getting you there.
A lot less, with an almighty, all-powerful A19 chip, and Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this, and this, and a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom and next-gen portraits, and double the starting storage of iPhone 16e, and long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence, and you can charge it with USB-C, or with MagSafe accessories, and a whole lot more, all for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at AT&T today.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Las Culturistas.
Matt and Bowen have updated the rules of culture, and you are currently in violation. Catch up immediately. Search Las Culturistas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Steele Hyundai and Kyle is your destination for transparent pricing and customer value, plus the Steele Standard. We add over $1,400 in protection for free. Drive home a sleek new 2026 Hyundai Elantra SE lease for just $199 a month, or upgrade to the versatile 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE lease for only $259 a month. Plus, every new Hyundai comes back by America's Best Warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile, and owner assurance. Everything we do is driven by you. Steele Hyundai and Kyle or SteeleHyundaiKyle.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
It's getting wild on the court, and Specs has the assist to take this tournament to a legendary new level. You know the drill. Stock up on delicious finds for every tip-off, upset, and overtime thriller. When you score savings with Specs, it's nothing but net. Don't wait for the buzzer. Run the perfect play with Specs wines, spirits, and finer foods. The lowest prices in Texas.
Shop Specs!
This is Jim.
Hello.
Jim started advertising with iHeartRadio way back in April. And now,
I have customers out the door.
And this is Sarah.
Hi.
She started putting a portion of her marketing dollars in podcasting back in June.
Business is booming. That's why I'm working on a Saturday.
Want to be like Jim and Sarah? It's easy. All you have to do is own or manage a business and reach out to iHeart. Get started today at 844-844-iHeart or iHeartAdvertising.com.
When you struggle with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you get used to not feeling 100%. I thought that was how it had to be. Until I discovered the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. They told me about new medications that weren't around back when I was diagnosed. They helped me find a specialist who gave me a new treatment plan. I'm feeling better than I ever thought I could. Don't settle for not feeling your best. Take action today to take care of yourself. Spill your guts. Learn more at spillyourguts.org.
Texas football plays here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. We're back. It's the Craig Way Show with Hall of Fame broadcaster and voice of the Texas Longhorns, Craig Way.
Sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie.
Welcome you back here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Jake Herman in for Craig Way. Longhorn basketball perhaps in dire straits now after their defeat at the hands of Ole Miss last night. Sultans of Swing bringing us back from the break. And now we're joined by Evan Vieth, our good friend from InsideTexas, who always has us covered on all things Longhorn sports. Evan, Sean Miller seemed pretty frustrated after this game, called it their worst performance of the year in terms of offensive efficiency. What did you see that went wrong for the Longhorns first and foremost last night?
Yeah, I think those early turnovers really catalyzed what would happen for the rest of the game, where it felt like there was 4 or 5 passes and dribbles in the first 10 minutes of that game that just went right into the hands of and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but the French player on Ole Miss, their big guard, and that's an experienced player, but that's part of the scouting report. You know that Ole Miss is really good at defending on ball. You know they have guys that can really rip the ball away from you, and it felt like Texas offense was a bit lackadaisical with their ball control and making sure the passing lanes are actually open when you're trying to find players. And just overall, Jake, it felt like an effort problem at times, just not what you want to hear talking about a team that knew they were on the bubble. And I don't think they've done so much bad the last 4 games, and really because of the 6 games before that, to completely knock them out of the tournament. But just a lack of urgency, really, to keep the ball in on their side of the court, not let Ole Miss get out in transition, not have your shots get blocked. I mean, it just felt like every shot that was put up by Vieth early in that game had either Dia or Scott's hand in the way, tipped out or blocked, or at least altered enough that it wasn't going in. And that led to fast break points for Ole Miss. And I think that was the huge difference in this one.
Just one of those days where nothing came easily. And I felt like the hustle plays, Texas maybe woke up a little bit too late in that aspect of the game. We've seen the limitations of this Longhorn team all season. They don't force a lot of turnovers. Yes, they win up, but now Ole Miss adds to a list of a couple of losses that are really, really hurting the Texas resume. Do you think Dayton in a first 4 date feels about right for where this Texas team should be headed? Where do you predict they'll kind of wind up?
Feels like legacy, doesn't it? Just Texas back in Dayton, always finding a way to end up there on that first or last 4 in, excuse me. And yeah, that's where I think they are. I think they're a last 4 in team. You'll see sites have them as high as a 10 seed, which I think is clearly not what the case will be. I could see it being a first four in, that last team of four who just gets a spot into the tournament as one of the 11 seeds. But I think, yeah, we're talking about a play-in team going back up to Dayton, which will be interesting with Sean Miller, maybe facing an Auburn who is doing themselves a little bit more favors than we maybe thought they would be coming in, or like a New Mexico State is another team that I know has been playing good basketball, might get a bid steal here, or just get in by themselves. But it kind of feels like what we thought would happen at the start of the year. If you ask me, hey, where would this Texas team be March 12th, 2026? I'd probably be guessing, hey, they struggled a little bit in SEC play, and they're probably going to be clinging on to a last spot. I probably would have guessed that they would have won an SEC tournament game. Probably would have guessed that they would have been a first four in instead of a last four in. But I still think you're talking about a team that's going to make the tournament because they have those Q1 wins. I think if Georgia wins tomorrow, it could be 7 Q1 wins, and they play in that tough conference, went 500 in a tough conference. Their record doesn't fully exemplify what the team is because they played teams like UConn and Duke out of conference, had some tough games there. But when you lose to Mississippi States and Ole Misses and even Arizona State, like that piles up. And that's why we're talking about this team, not as a 9 or 10 seed and as a last four in type of roster.
Yeah, and talking to Evan Vieth from InsideTexas, we've talked on the show a lot about the weak bubble and some of the results leading up to that Ole Miss game that have benefited Texas. Auburn right now leading Tennessee by 7 at half. That would pretty clearly be a bad result for Texas, giving Auburn the chance to potentially leapfrog the Longhorns. Miami of Ohio losing, also a bad result for Texas. And I want to get your thoughts on them as an at-large team at 32-1 without a quad 1 win and leaving a quad 4 loss as its final impression on the committee. Should Miami, Ohio be a lock for the tournament in your mind?
I'm very on the side of let's get them in no matter what happens here. And I know I don't think any team, I forgot the exact stat, but no team past 80 in Ken Palm or net ratings has ever gotten into a tournament as an at-large, and they're sitting at 93rd in Ken Palm. But it's unfair to them, really, because they tried to schedule out a conference, and they just so happened to end up with the 5th easiest schedule in the entire nation. And they did what they had to do. You got to win the games. And it feels like every time we discuss this team, you see it on Twitter, it's, well, they have the win column, but, and it's like, well, yeah, they have the win column. They have 32 straight wins in the win column, and they went 31-0 in the regular season. I just think it would be a big shame if you saw a team that went undefeated, no matter against who they're going undefeated against in the regular season, not making it in because of one loss in a conference tournament when, like we've been talking about, the bubble just isn't that great. I'd rather see Miami, Ohio than Auburn, even if you think that Auburn is a better team top to bottom, probably more talented team, but that's not what gets you into March Madness every time. It's not about pure talent. It's about what you're doing on the court. And I think Miami, Ohio has clearly done enough on the court to make it, and they should be in this tournament.
If Auburn is an at-large team, it means they'll have 16 losses. That would be the most by an at-large team. They would have played the toughest schedule, I believe, in all of college basketball. Yeah. And they really did challenge themselves in the non-conference portion of the season. But do you think that a team that goes perhaps 17-16 or 18-16 deserves a chance to play in the tournament?
I think, on one end, I think record means everything for Miami, Ohio, and on the other, I think it doesn't mean all that much for Auburn, because we're talking about an 11 seed here. The expectation is with the bubble team is how do you compare with other 11 seeds and what you'd expect from them? And that was one of my qualms with how it seemed to pick the college football playoff, where it didn't feel like they were picking how you expected to be the 12th best team. It's, what do your wins look like? And how if you lost to a number 1 team, that doesn't matter. But Auburn's played a lot of teams that, now that we know what this Auburn team is, makes a lot of sense that they lost. They played a really tough SEC schedule by itself, and then they go out of conference to play teams. I believe Houston was like their big one, and that's just a tough schedule to have to go and try to be 500 at. It feels kind of gross that we're talking about a team with that kind of record potentially getting the at-large bid, but we put ourselves in this corner by having these super conferences and knowing what kind of teams would show up on schedules and how that would impact how teams get in. So it feels like we're having the inverse conversation with the college football playoff, where in basketball, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter the losses, let's get you in, versus in the playoff, it's you got your 3rd loss, tough luck. So I don't think that's the end all be all with Auburn. I think they have a lot of things that help them and look good for them. And you can accept losses to top 5 teams in the country and really top 20 teams, but they've had some bad losses too and haven't won enough big games, in my opinion. I know they have their takes on the Bediako case in the Alabama game, but it's still I don't love their resume getting in.
The Bediako thing is such a nothing burger for me. You played him in Tuscaloosa without him and lost by more.
Yeah, and it's also like I get that you're like, well, what if we won? It's still not going to go against you, is what the NCAA has said. So what if you had lost? Like either way, you probably, or obviously, what if you lost without Bediako there? Either way, we're talking about it probably negatively affecting you. So it's kind of a safety, a life boat, if you will, that they're taking a game against a top 20 team that you might have lost at home and not putting it on your schedule and putting it against you in terms of your qualification for the tournament. I think it's nothing burger, like you said.
Is there a metric for how much Bruce Pearl can make it about himself? Anyway, we've got to get to Longhorn football, so I'll move on and just leave us with this on the basketball topic. It feels like even if Texas does find a way into the dance, and even if they, win a game or two, there's going to be a rebuild on the horizon, or at least a reshaping, a retooling of this program for year 2 under Sean Miller. We'll hear him talk about that a little bit in the next segment. But what do you think his biggest priorities are moving forward into the offseason when it does arrive?
Yeah, and you could hear it in that press conference, and you'll probably play it a little later, that it felt like there was a bit of that, yeah, whatever with this team. Like, we're not here. I wasn't hired for 2026. I was hired for 2028 and 2029. But I think your number one's bringing back Dalen Swain, and I've been a critic of his for the last few games because it felt like before Ole Miss he had not been putting in the effort that you'd expect and playing the way you want a star player to go in. But he put his heart out in that Ole Miss game. I thought he had a really good game for the team. But Dalen Swain, like, this is if I'm Miller's camp, I'm bringing in my nerds and saying, like, hey, this is a very, very good draft class. Difference between being a junior and a senior on draft night is not that big, not even close to as big as being a freshman and a sophomore. So you could go, if you play a little bit better next year, you could go be the 14th pick instead of the 25th pick. And that's a good amount of money. I know you're prolonging your case to make more money in the NBA, but you could maybe use that extra year with an actual point guard. And that leads me to the second point is, okay, now you've got Swain, you've got Austin Gooseby coming in, Sterling and Ogden can be bench scorers. You've got a lot of bodies at big men, and hopefully Modest Vokietitis is included in that. But you don't have your point guard, and you didn't have it last year. That has to be the number one priority in the transfer portal, is getting a high comfort in the Miller system, a guy who's played a lot of college basketball. It doesn't need to be your star sophomore who needs a huge NIL check. Like, is there someone in the mid-major ranks that, like, you can see elevating in a Miller offense, and he doesn't need to be the primary scorer? If you've got Swain and you've got Gooseby and you've got the bench scores and you got Vokietitis. So it's Swain and a point guard, and I think Miller getting a home run on those could lead to a very good Texas team next year. It's just about building up the foundation around them after that.
Yeah, hopefully we're not done talking about this Texas team quite yet, although the flip side of that might be if you go on any kind of a March Madness run, well, Dalen Swain, Modest Vokietitis could raise their stock or their price tag a little bit. But I want to get to Longhorn football. We heard from Colin Simmons in the last segment. Spring practice underway this week. Before I get to any of my questions, just wanted to know what has stood out to you the most and what you've been able to see and observe.
Yeah, I really like the size of this freshman class, just the bodies that they have coming in. It's got less hype than I think the past two, or at least in 2025 this is the number one overall class. Names like Jonah Williams and Lance Jackson, Grayson Littleton had you very interested. But I love, like, Rocky Cummings is a guy who's full every bit of 6'4" at the linebacker position. Not someone I think a lot of people who aren't super into recruiting would have heard about, but already making waves. You're hearing multiple of his teammates and people in the media from our side of things kind of bringing him up as a guy that could impress. Jermaine Bishop, I mean, that guy can move as fluidly as anyone. He looks so good on his routes downfield. And I think going over more to the coaching side of things, our own Joe Cook made a really good point and wrote an article about this, that there's just a lot of polos out there, a lot of guys who are helping out at every position. You have 4 different offensive line coaches, and you have 2 people shadowing the running backs. Billy Gonzalez is your secondary wide receiver coordinator, and he's a guy who was coaching at Florida last year, and Steve Kasula at tight end at Michigan. There's just a lot of different minds and voices that I think is making it a little easier as they change up this practice structure a little bit, at least what's in front of our eyes too. We can be a little more independent with our groups and work just with what we we need right now, because it's not like we need Sark to moonlight with wide receivers or tight ends as much. He can go focus on quarterbacks. We have all of our assistants on the offensive side, and then Will Muschamp is taking over that head coach of the defense identity. And I'll tell you, when we were at DKR, the Coach Boom voice was booming across it was echoing everywhere throughout. We could hear him from, even we were stuck on the other side, and that was a bit frustrating to have to watch the defense from 100 yards away, but you could hear Muschamp, that's for sure.
Yeah, how do you think the defensive guys are kind of responding and taking to that? Do you notice a difference in intensity?
Yeah, I don't know about intensity yet, just because it's so early, but they speak very highly of him. It's when we heard Colin Simmons talk about him, it was almost more like a brotherhood, like a brotherly love with him. Like he called him like, oh yeah, Coach Muschamp. It just seems like they're getting along really well, and that's what you need to hear, because I think we all know that Muschamp can bring the knowledge, but really early on, it's about setting the foundation for the way he wants it to be. If it's going to be more intense, if it's going to be you're going to get yelled at more versus you're going to get coached up softly, but also making sure that players are bought into what he's doing. And I think Simmons is a player who I think could maybe have a negative. I guess individually, it might not be as good for him, because it's not quite a pin your ears back and go rush the passer defense as much as we're going to disguise a lot. We're going to be dropping the coverage a little bit. You're going to have to do a lot in the run game. It's not going to be as much about getting sacks as it is forcing interceptions or TFLs in the run game. So Simmons, it seems very bought in. You heard Lance Jackson talk about how much like Muschamp immediately pushed him. I mean, Muschamp, it sounded like he came in and within 5 minutes of meeting, Lance Jackson said, all right, need 20 more pounds from you. Need you to be a bit feistier down in the trenches, and then we'll be good. So I think he's bringing a pretty positive voice and a positive light to this defense.
How about that linebacker room, the area where Texas maybe has the most talent to replace out of any individual spot on this team?
Yeah, I think Rasheem Biles has already had pretty good feedback, at least from the players talking about him. It seems like I asked Shiro Kanu, like, you were one of those transfers that came in, and transfers usually aren't the leaders of a team, but you came in and immediately took over that role, and that helped with the Ohio State game and as the season went forward. And he said the Biles is clearly the player who has that leadership acumen and has come in and taken over that bit of that quarterbacking the defense idea. It's also, with Tyanthi Smith out for spring, and hopefully he's not 205 pounds for a kickoff against Texas State, but we'll see. It's given opportunity for some of these younger guys to stand out and step up. And I think Tyler Atkinson obviously is a name that we're all getting used to hearing now more. And he's athletically just in a different spot than you'd expect an 18-year-old to be. He looks like he's on his second contract on an NFL team, and he just got here. So I think guys like he and Cummings have a chance to like really impress and say, all right, we know Biles is going to start. Smith will eventually come back in, but Brad Spence is playing on the edge to start in camp. Juice Cryer is good, but he's less flashy. The ceiling's a little lower with him as a player. If they need a third or fourth linebacker, it's very up in the air for who can take it. And I think that's at least a positive, even within a thinner room, admittedly, going into the spring practices.
Yeah, we'll definitely watch for that moving forward. Talking to Evan Vieth from Inside Texas. You mentioned Texas State. Didn't want to let you go without your thoughts on the baseball game Tuesday night at Bobcat Ballpark. I think Casey Borba had maybe over 900 feet combined in home runs. Plenty of pop for this Texas baseball team. And now you just came over from the dish where you got to catch up with some of the players, including head coach Jim Schlossnagle. What stood out most from your conversations with them today as Ole Miss comes to town to start SEC play over the weekend?
Yeah, there's quite a few poor bombs there. It's definitely fun with this team because there's this looseness and this energy of like, we're just here to play a kids game, and maybe it'll take us somewhere. Maybe it takes us to an SEC championship or Omaha. But at the end of the day, we're just here to have fun. And I think a few people really anchor that, and that's Max Weiner, the pitching coach. We talked to Luke Harrison about it, and if you go to games or just observing how we cover them, the bullpen out there, they're just having the time of their life. They're throwing a football around. They're always hanging out. It seems like a close-knit group, and that's a Max Weiner thing. That's what he preaches to them. But it's also on the players. Adrian Rodriguez in San Marcos, for me, really stood out because he gets walked early in that game, and he's chirping at the pitcher. I mean, he's bringing that energy. He then gets to second base, and he's dancing around. He's trying to make it. He's trying to distract the guy, and then he ends up having a 3-hit day on top of those walks. I believe it was 3 hits, 2 doubles in there, something like that. And he he was the catalyst of that roster and kind of gave them that energy. And Schloss pointed out, like, that's a weird environment. They hadn't been on the road yet. The dugouts are a little odd. The mound itself is a little bit weird with how it goes up really dramatically. And you got trains going in the background. Like, Texas State is one of these really small ballparks with a lot of distractions around, really rowdy fans. And yet the team went in there and won comfortably. And it was because of 2-out hitting and 2-strike hitting. And the end of the order, it wasn't Carson Tinney or Aiden Robbins. It was Anthony Pack and Casey Borba and Temo Becerra. So it's just such an easy team to like and such an easy team to be confident in. I believe they're now officially tied for first in odds to win the College World Series. Let's just get past Ole Miss first and that first bit of SEC competition. But this Texas team has a lot of talent. The pitching staff's really good. And that's 6 straight games they've scored double-digit runs, which I think is a program record now. So Texas is just – they're rolling, and we'll see how it goes this weekend. But I think this is the kind of team that has everything it takes to go and make that run.
Long way to go, Evan, but there sure is a lot to like. Thanks for sharing your observations on it. Will you be at the Dish this weekend?
I will. All 3 games. You see me, say hi.
Yeah, we'll catch up with you soon. I'll be back here behind the board, but I got to get out there at some point soon. Evan, appreciate the time. Thanks as always for stopping by, sharing your thoughts.
Thank you, Jake. Have a good one.
Yeah, that's Evan Vieth, our friend from Inside Texas. You can follow him on X at Evan_Vieth. Coming up, we will hear those thoughts from Sean Miller about his team's bubble outlook and move you closer to the 4 o'clock hour where we catch up with Craig from Nashville. Stick with us on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone and on the iHeartRadio app.
Prediction markets talk outcomes. BetOnline puts odds behind them. For decades, bettors have trusted BetOnline for accurate lines, deep prop markets, and real money action across every major sport. Get the latest odds, live props, in-game action, and expert pricing throughout the season. And don't forget to check out BetOnline Casino, delivering nonstop action and premium rewards. Don't guess with the crowd. Bet with the book that's been doing it right for years. BetOnline. The game starts here.
Right now at Steel Round Rock GMC, the road to a new GMC has never been better. You get the Steel Standard, over $1,400 of protection for free, plus huge discounts, like $13,000 off 2026 GMC 1500s or $5,000 off 2026 GMC Canyons. We've also made it easier than ever to find a vehicle to fit your budget, like a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 lease for just $249 a month, because everything we do is driven by you. Steel GMC and Round Rock. GMC, we are professional grade.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The world's best bull riders. 1 shot, 8 seconds, no mercy. The rankest bulls in the sport are waiting. This is professional bull riding. Watch it live as we unleash the beast. This weekend from Florida State University, only on Paramount+.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelty can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelty?
Just send them a text.
Text ENERGY to 797-979 to get started today with Zelty. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text ENERGY to 797-979 for a link to your exclusive offer. Text ENERGY to 797-979. That's ENERGY to 797-979.
AM 1300 The Zone occasionally holds contests. For more information about contests on this station, go to am1300thezone.com/rules.
I'm Daniel Jeremiah.
And I am Greg Rosenthal.
I know that, Greg. We're teaming up on 40s and Free Agents, the podcast that owns the NFL offseason.
This is where teams are built. Free agency, combine, pro days, trades. Every move matters.
From my draft boards and mock drafts
to my vaunted top 101 free agents and how rosters come together.
Quarterback movement,
surprise signings.
We'll tell you what it means and who really wins. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search 40s and Free Agents, and listen now.
From the studio who brought you the #1 podcast, The Piketon Massacre. This is Murder 101.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
Those murders happened in the mid-1980s.
He's out there doing stuff. He just didn't stop.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
For 3 decades, the mystery remained unsolved.
It wasn't just a class assignment. It was real life.
These women really deserve justice. They were just living their lives, and they had their whole lives ahead of them.
There's a pretty good chance he's still alive.
It was a little scary, I'm not going to lie.
Once you start getting a few tips or a few leads, then the cold case isn't so cold anymore.
What seemed like an ordinary high school class turned out to be anything but.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Harge and Henry, the morning kickoff, tomorrow at 7. And we're back to the Craig Way Show. Have a message for Craig? Share it by using the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app.
Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything.
Thanks again to Evan Vieth from Inside Texas joining us to talk some Longhorn basketball, football, a little bit of baseball there on the end. Here's John Mayer waiting on the world to change, bringing us back from break. It's about the waiting game now for Texas men's basketball. We're going to hear from head coach Sean Miller in just a moment on what that wait is going to be like. We're going to keep you updated as well, though, on the other games in action. It's one of the best weeks of the year if you're a basketball fan because the game started at 10 Central. They'll keep tipping off until I think the last game of the night tips at 10:30 or thereabouts. So Auburn, who Texas could really use a stumble from. Again, a couple teams that are kind of neck and neck right now as far as the bubble goes. Auburn has the head-to-head win over Texas at Neville Arena earlier this season. That was one, if you recall, the Longhorns had a big lead in during the first half, couldn't quite hang on to it. Auburn leading Tennessee 39-31, 16 minutes to go in that game. Tahad Pettiford's got 21 of Auburn's 39 points. Nate Ament, who was a game-time decision for Tennessee, he is in there, and he's got 10 points and 3 blocks, so making an impact for the Vols. Number 2, Arizona is fighting for the number 1 overall seed against UCF, who is probably safely in the tournament at this point out of the Big 12. At least Joe Lunardi says so. All the higher seeds won on day 1 of the Big 12 tournament. So that means, in his mind, that the teams remaining are just playing for seeding, setting up some pretty good matchups in a good but top-heavy Big 12 this season. Arizona leads that one 54-42. Miami leading Louisville 61-54 in the ACC. Washington, Wisconsin going down to the wire, 83-82 Badgers in the Big 10 tournament third-round action. Seton Hall picked up a win over Creighton, perhaps boosting its at-large chances. A lot of folks think Seton Hall needs to not only win this game, but advance into the Big East tournament title game. Seton Hall, though, with a win today, punches its ticket into the next round of the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. The favorites to come through that, either Connecticut or number 1 seed St. John's. I believe Seton Hall now sets up a matchup with Villanova, if I'm not mistaken, as we take a look at the Big East tournament bracket. But yesterday we pointed out how many of the results were pretty favorable for the Longhorns. Today, so far, maybe not so much. That Big East basketball tournament, by the way, Seton Hall is the number 4 seed, so they will get St. John's in the semifinal tomorrow evening. So back to Sean Miller and his thoughts on the weight. He was asked where his level of anxiety is going into Selection Sunday, sweating out the fate of his Texas team. And his answer may be a little bit surprising in the way he framed it. Take a listen.
I have no anxiety, zero, simply because of this. I came to Texas to build into a championship program. There's steps and foundations that have to be laid, processes, failure, really learning what the SEC and the University of Texas is about. This has been a very rewarding, enlightening, and I think when I think back to coming here about end of March last year, there's a lot that happened in a quick manner. When you get to the finality of it, whatever happens, happens, and I'm at peace. However, I think this is a huge moment for us as a program today to be different a year from today. And I think I don't need reminded, but I think it's a necessary step that we have to get through. It's not easy, but we have to be better, bigger, deeper, and we have to be a higher level team as we keep moving forward here. The SEC is an incredible conference. This tournament, whoever wins it, there's 3 or 4 teams can win a national championship that are playing in this tournament. And when you show up here, you got to have your I's dotted, your T's crossed. You got to be at your very, very best. This is the highest level of college sports. And you feel it when you're not at that level. Tonight, we were not at that level. And again, credit Ole Miss. But in terms of the anxiety of it, there's none, zero.
Hey, maybe not what I expected him to say answering that question, but it does put into perspective, I think, where he feels this team, this season, and this particular loss might slot into the context of the bigger picture, what he's trying to build moving forward, obviously hoping for a different fate next year in the SEC tournament. But the follow-up was asked from Eric Henry of Horns 247. Is it fair to say that Sean's focus is on the bigger picture of the program rather than this particular NCAA tournament, based on that last answer you heard?
Look, the bullseye is to always be a part of that tournament. You failed if you weren't a part of it. I don't want to come across any different than that. I own that. But the reality of it is, think about the tournament, man. You got to earn it. And you got to be super excited. I mean, this is March Madness. You got to fly around. And I've had the opportunity to coach some players and teams where when I think about how we played in a conference tournament, not always with a win, I would be after the game in a place where that's how it's supposed to feel. That's what makes March Madness so amazing. When guys are just really laying it out there in a way that, you're just like, wow. And that's what's required in March. Even the best teams, they have to be together. They have to be at their best. They got to play with amazing energy and synergy. And when you're not at your best, you start to reflect on why. And oftentimes, in our case, we don't have a huge margin. We're not going to advance if we're not at our best. And today, we not only were not at our best, but I thought Ole Miss did a really good job against us. But will I be disappointed? Obviously. But in terms of my stress level or just going, we've kind of fought the good fight. Now we have to wait for the results. There's some smart people that make those decisions.
And we'll tell you about some of the things that go into those decisions and what a couple of smart prognosticators are saying throughout the afternoon about where Texas might rank as we continue on the show today. We need a break. We'll wrap up our number 2 of 3 next here on The Zone.
UT football, basketball, and baseball.
All in one station for all. This is why I listen. 1300 The Zone. 1300
The Zone. Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever, best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Searching online for a car? When you call that dealership, your first question should be, are there any extra costs to the price on your website? At Henna Chevrolet, our answer will always be no. Their answer, you don't want to know. Shop surprise fee free with Henna, where the price you see is the price you get. Absolutely no addendums ever. You deserve honesty, and that's what we run on. Together, let's drive at henna.com.
Hey boys, it's Kylie, and I have some exciting news. The grand opening of Texas' #1 sports bar, Rowdy Cowboy in Round Rock, is tomorrow. The doors swing open at 11 in the morning. Rowdy Cowboy has 69 Texas-sized screens, legendary wings, burgers, signature steaks, and the coldest beer under the Texas sun. The smoking hot Rowdy Cowgirls are ready to give you an unforgettable experience that will have you coming back for more. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, take a peek at GoRowdyCowboy.com. Rowdy Cowboy. Eat, drink, bottoms up.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Meet Kim. She runs a business and her to-do list never ends. With Airtasker, she posts a task, sets her budget, and hires help fast. From deliveries to repairs, taskers keep things running. Download the app or go to airtasker.com. Airtasker. Get anything done.
Hey, Texas sports fans. Mike Harge here. Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be a part of the action with Texas baseball and softball game broadcasts. The athletes give it their all on the field, and Thomas J. Henry and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork are crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for injured people and their families. After all, their law firm will be nothing without the communities and the individuals they serve. Visit tjhlaw.com to find out more. If you or a loved one have been injured, their attorneys are available 24/7 to help. They have a reputation and resources to handle any case. Free consultations with no fees collected unless they win for you. Let's get into Texas baseball and softball action this season, sponsored by Thomas J. Henry Law. On and off the field, it's all about the win.
Burnt Orange, Bebo, and Ball. Craig Way is talking it all. Now back to the Craig Way Show on 1300 The Zone.
Okay, heading down the home stretch of hour number 2 here on the Craig Way Show. We will touch base with Craig to start the 4 o'clock hour in just a few moments. My name is Jake Herman, the producer of the show. Pleasure to fill in for Craig on Texas sports throughout the week. A couple more experts, or at least analytics-minded folks, weighing in on the Longhorn loss last night. Evan Mayakawa, whose metrics have been really interesting to track all season long, tracking both individual players' impacts on their teams, as well as the metrics in terms of tempo and offensive and defensive efficiency of certain teams. He's saying this is a very weak bubble, kind of echoing what we talked about with Evan in the last segment and what we pointed out at the beginning of the show, with the door being left open by so many of these teams towards the top of the bubble and nobody quite able to walk through and knock it down. The loss for Miami, Ohio, which I'm sure will be talked about a lot in the next few days. Evan says, well, maybe it was due to happen because Miami, Ohio was 9-0 in one possession or overtime games before this. Well, you don't get to 31-0 without a couple of close calls. But Evan Mayakawa, that is, says that Miami, Ohio should be an 11 seed on Sunday. It would be a total stunner if they missed the tournament. One other result that stunned me just a little bit, perhaps not so much now that JT Toppin's been out a few weeks. Iowa State blasted Texas Tech in round 2, I should say, of the Big 12 tournament, 75-53 earlier today. Iowa State's going to get the winner of that Arizona-UCF game that's headed down the stretch right now. Texas Tech just got suffocated by Iowa State's defense in this game. And they're one of a few teams that I'll have my eye on. TJ Altenberger's teams have always been very, very tough to deal with on the defensive end. But this year's group has been putting together some impressive wins here as of late. All right, coming up, we will touch base with Craig from Nashville. We'll talk a little more about Longhorn basketball, where they sit on the bubble. We'll try to get to a couple of NFL news items as well on this Thursday afternoon edition of the Craig Way Show, Sports Radio 1300 The Zone.
The big movie awards are almost here, and now you can trade on what happens. Who wins Best Picture? Right now, one battle after another is trending at 74%. Sinners is at a 20%, meaning a $100 trade pays $500 if it wins. On Kalshi, you trade in a live market against other people, no house, and you can buy or sell anytime before the result. Trade the big movie awards and more on Kalshi, available in all 50 states. Download the Kalshi app and use code IHEART to get $10 when you trade $100. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
I'm here with Dan Christensen of DJC Law, Austin's largest veteran-owned personal injury law firm.
Hey, Craig, you're the best, but I got to tell you, you talk a lot.
Well, it's kind of my job.
That's right. And when you do one thing for as long as you have, you get pretty good at it.
Now I feel like you're calling me old.
Just experienced.
Yeah, just like the team at DJC Law. They have over 200 years combined experience and 500 trials.
Don't forget, a 99% win rate.
That's a winning team. If you've been injured, call DJC Law, 512-888-9999, and get your justice. Justice. TeamJustice.com.
Principal office, Austin, Texas.
You know that water in our lakes is a precious resource that we can all work together as a community to save. Austin Water offers simple ways to use less and make a big impact around your home and yard. Find your watering day, explore rebates, and get more tips at austinwater.org.
Steele Hyundai and Kyle is your destination for transparent pricing and customer value. Plus the Steele Standard. We add over $1,400 in protection for free. Drive home a sleek new 2026 Hyundai Elantra SE lease for just $199 a month. Or upgrade to the versatile 2026 Hyundai Tucson SC lease for only $259 a month. Plus, every new Hyundai comes backed by America's Best Warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile, and owner assurance. Everything we do is driven by you. Steele Hyundai and Kyle or SteeleHyundaiKyle.com.
So my friends over at Pure Talk have been sending me customer feedback from ConsumerAffairs.com, where thousands of people rate and review the top wireless providers. Here, for instance, is a nice note from James in Raleigh, North Carolina, who writes, quote, "After hearing Mike Rowe's ad, we made the switch to Pure Talk, and we couldn't be happier. We went from spending $1,200 a year with T-Mobile to $420 with Pure Talk. Thanks, Mike. Switch today!" Exclamation point. Pure Talk is saving James $820 a year. And because he literally wrote the words "switch today" in capital letters with an exclamation point, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this commercial to him. So, folks, take it from James in Raleigh, North Carolina. Pure Talk can give you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month on the same 5G service the big guys are overcharging you for. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. You'll also save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 to save an additional 50%. Thanks, James.
Your entire sports feed all in one place with iHeartRadio. One tap away. Open the iHeart app and stream your local stations. Catch the latest on Fox Sports Radio or dive into the world's biggest sports podcast. Search sports on iHeartRadio and lock in.
Big state, big savings. Shop the Texas sale at Specs. The fun starts here.
There are currently more than 200 Beaumont area children in foster care and not enough licensed families to provide them with a safe and loving home. If you would like to learn more about becoming a foster family for children in need, call Buckner Children and Family Services at 409-866-0976. That's 409-866-0976. Or visit buckner.org.
From the Audio-Visual Consultation Studios, Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KDET AM Austin, your home for the Horns, and the #1 preset in your car and on the free iHeartRadio app. It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
Our third and final hour on a Thursday afternoon, Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Happy to have you with us. Jake Herman in for Craig Way on this late afternoon Thursday. A little cooler to start the day. Starting to get real nice out as Texas continues to await its bubble fate. We recapped the game for you already. Heard from Sean Miller on the program earlier today. Also, got a chance to catch up with Evan Vieth from InsideTexas, who kind of echoes what we've been saying. Texas perhaps headed to Dayton. We'll wait and see whether or not they're able to stay in the NCAA tournament field, and if they do, whether they're able to avoid having to play in that first four, of course, where things ended last season for Texas. SEC tournament, second round action. Auburn leads Tennessee 49-39. At the under 12 timeout of that game. The Tigers trying to perhaps make history. If they don't win the SEC tournament, they'll have 16 losses. That would be the most losses of any at-large team to get into the field in the NCAA tournament's history. But a win over Tennessee would certainly do wonders for that resume. We'll be keeping track of the SEC tournament throughout the rest of the week here on the show. And Well, let's talk to the guy who's keeping track of it down there in person from Nashville. Craig Way joins us now. Craig, it was great to hear you and Eddie on the call last night, even though things obviously didn't go the Longhorns' way. I know you're busy preparing to call the rest of the tournament, right, for your conference radio network assignments.
That's right. For SEC Radio Network, I'm working two of the quarterfinal games tomorrow, and then both semifinals, calling the play-by-play on those, as well as the quarterfinals and the championship game on Sunday. So it's a busy time. Today was a day. It's funny, to your point, they did not schedule me to work today because the way I heard it explained to me, they were convinced that Texas was going to win its first round game. And obviously my first responsibility would be with Texas. If they went all the way through the tournament, I would be calling them all the way through the tournament, not the other games. When they asked me to do this, it was always with the what if proviso. If Texas is still playing, we've got guys who can step in, but we'd like you to do it. And so that's how this all came about. But you're right. And to your point, the question is, they were expecting Texas to win. I think a lot of folks were expecting Texas to win last night. I was expecting them to win, but I've also learned over the years, when you start expecting things, quite often the unexpected happens. So now they sit and they wait, and they're not being done any favors by the Tennessee Volunteers right now. We're down 10 points to Auburn in the second half. That's really going to hurt the Longhorns. They were helped a little bit by Missouri's loss, a little bit, I would say. They were hurt by Miami of Ohio's loss because, that's a bid stolen there. Akron, whoever wins the MAC, is going to get that automatic bid, and I think it's a pretty safe bet that Miami of Ohio is going to get in the field. I know there's a lot of conversation about whether they deserve it with their lack of quadrant one wins, but they only have one loss. So it's kind of the same token also, Jake, folks have brought up Santa Clara. Santa Clara has only 2 quad one wins. And the second one was the other night when they beat St. Mary's in the semifinals of the West Coast Conference tournament. So they only had 1 quad win going into that, and so now they have 2. But they have 26 wins overall. So that helps. The flip side of that is here are the Longhorns with 6 Q1 wins, 6 quadrant one wins, more than a lot of teams in this country. They have 4 wins over ranked opponents. They have 3 huge quality road wins at Alabama, at Missouri, and at Texas A&M. But they, now have 14 losses. So, that's tough. This is what the tournament selection committee has to balance when they're looking at which is the better team, the one with the more losses but more quality wins, or the team that has more wins overall, absent of many quadrant one victories, but they have very few losses. So it'll be interesting. I saw just a few minutes ago, Joe Lunardi had it down as Texas in Dayton back in the first 4 against SMU. They haven't played SMU since 1996, the last year of the Southwest Conference. That's the last time Texas played SMU. So it'd be interesting to see if it winds up working out that way.
Sure will be. And CBS Sports, by the way, still listing Texas as a number 10 seed. However, that was before the recent loss by Miami, Ohio. So you have to adjust for that a little bit. As for the game last night, Sean Miller, after the game, was talking about how much trouble his offense had really getting any kind of a flow going. Turns out it was their least efficient offensive game of the season, minus the season opener against Duke. What did you and Eddie see from what Ole Miss was able to do to disrupt Texas and the way the Longhorns kind of struggled to execute on that end?
Yeah, there was a lot of, to be honest, there was a lot of standing around. Guys were looking for a path to the bucket, and then they would go in and drive into double teams, or they were missing shots from outside. Tremont Mark normally hits a lot of mid-ranges. He struggled from the mid-range. He only made a couple of threes in the game. You account on him more for the mid-range. Jordan Pope hit 4 threes in the game, but he was 4 of 9 from that. And they had other guys, they had other guys miss outside shots. And then, in the second half, Ole Miss dropped into a zone. But the biggest factor in this game was them making Modest Vocatitis a non-factor for a lot of the game. Modest only played 25 minutes in the ball game because he either had foul difficulty or just was inefficient. And you just got the feeling that what Chris Beard would draw up would be a way to turn it around after that monster game that Boca Titus had against them back on February 7th. They keyed in on that. So what you need when that happens is somebody's got to shoot well from outside to open it up. They didn't have enough of that. Dalen Swain did what he could, but there has to be more than one guy. And I think those things really spelled the doom. I think Sean made a very good point in the press conference. He said that we didn't play well enough defensively to win, but the way a lot of this goes is we had a season, we've had a season where what we've done on offense has masked a lot of the defensive inefficiencies. I mean, they were a top 10 offensive efficiency team virtually the entire season, but they really struggled. They were in the triple digits defensively. So again, that's the end of the game, just like their tournament profile as well. What carries more weight? Last night, not their usual struggles on defense. And then in addition to that, they have an off night for the offense. And when that happens, then you got a problem.
One other thing Sean Miller said that we heard last hour in his post-game conversation with the media was he doesn't have any anxiety about Selection Sunday. And the reason for that is just kind of the placing of this game and these late season struggles in the context of what he wants to build the program to be in a couple of years, rather than just the short-term look of the goal of this season, making and winning games in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. He wanted it to make sure, and I know after that all got done, he was a little bit, I would say he was a little unsure if he conveyed the proper message about how he felt about the tournament.
Right.
As opposed to how his mental state was, because Thomas Jones of the Austin American Statesman asked him about his anxiety level. And he said, 0. I don't have an anxiety level. That also comes from understanding how the tournament science works and it's out of their hands. That's what he meant about not having the anxiety. Does he want to be there? Absolutely. And they want the team, and he doesn't want that mistaken. And he hopes that wasn't mistaken, that he doesn't care whether they get in the tournament or not. He's building for the future. That's not the point. And he did come back and say after the follow-up from Eric Henry about that it's that he has such an understanding of what this tournament's all about and the difficulty of what can happen in trying to get in it if you don't handle your business. So that's why he was saying the things that he was saying. But yes, obviously they want to be in the tournament, but he also is prepared to accept whatever fate that might be.
By the way, Sean Miller and this Texas team, because they didn't handle their business down the stretch of the season, doing what you and I are now, and that is one eye on the task at hand and the other on the game happening off to your left, and that is Tennessee roaring back now to tie it up at 51 against Auburn. You're going to be on the call for the rest of this SEC tournament. What other matchups and potential storylines have you most excited?
Well, tomorrow I've got the 2 evening quarterfinals, and I'm going to have a matchup of either Texas A&M or Oklahoma against Arkansas, which will be a lot of fun. Here's teams that arrive, and I've kind of joked about it already, seeing my fellow broadcasters of those institutions. So that's one thing, and then getting a look at Alabama against the Georgia Ole Miss winner. I don't know that Ole Miss will have enough left in the tank to take out Georgia, but they might. The early rounds are where you see most of those upsets, so it could be. But I think Alabama will be primed for it as the 2 seed. I think Arkansas will be primed as the 3 seed. Then I get both semifinals on Saturday, and I would imagine I'll see Florida. We'll see how Kentucky does against them. And then I would imagine, we'll see Florida against, the winner of this game against Vanderbilt tomorrow. That's in the day session. And I'll be curious to see this Vanderbilt team back in action. They did not look good in Austin, but they've looked good on other games against both Tennessee and Auburn. So whoever survives this game and takes on Vanderbilt will be a fun matchup. And then the winner of that will have to deal with Florida in the semifinal round. So there's a lot to look forward to with those semifinals and the championship as well. If you were to ask me right now, and you didn't, but you might have been planning to, if you were to ask me right now who I thought is going to advance to the finals, I would tell you I think it's going to be Florida and Arkansas. Arkansas is the 3 seed, Alabama's the 2, and Alabama's good. And Alabama, by the way, beat Arkansas in double overtime this year. That was the game where it went into the triple digits. Darius Acuff Jr. scored 49 points for the Razorbacks in that game. But I think Arkansas is hitting its stride now, just like Florida, late in the season. Right now, I think those are the 2 best teams in the SEC.
I think the bottom half of that bracket's a good microcosm of the SEC this season, because you have an Ole Miss team that was knocking on the door. They finally break through, get that win over Texas to punch their ticket. Similar story late in the year for Oklahoma. You've got Arkansas, who lost that epic in Tuscaloosa. They had walk-ons playing down the stretch of that game because of the amount of fouls that piled up against them in that particular game. Meanwhile, if Georgia were to get through, they beat Alabama just a couple of weeks ago. So the head-to-heads produce some pretty interesting outcomes there.
Georgia is a very talented team. And again, they have kind of gone hot and cold. Remember, they only had 1 win more than Texas this year and in conference play. And they split the 2 games. It was that odd deal where Texas played Georgia 2 times and played everybody else once except their 2 labeled traditional rivals, A&M and Oklahoma. Oddly enough, they only played Arkansas 1 time. So, they played them once, but they played Georgia twice, and they split that series with the Bulldogs, who also are trending upward late in the season. So I agree with you. That's why I said I think Georgia will handle Ole Miss tonight, and then we'll see how they do against Alabama tomorrow.
Craig, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, get to some non-basketball items, including that fast food, junk food update I teased during Inconceivable here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Texas basketball is back on the hardwood, and AM 1300 The Zone is your home for every bucket. How about poke for 3? How about it? Every dunk. Now drives. Baseline goes up with a 2-handed jam. Oh, what a throwdown. Every heart-stopping moment. Come on, drives in. Off the glass. Oh, it's good. Here's Taylor, 2 seconds. Launches from midcourt. Off the rim. No good. Texas wins the game. All season long on The Zone.
Our 2026 iHeart Podcast Awards are happening live at South by Southwest.
And the winner is...
Watch live Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, free at Veeps.com or the Veeps app. And hear it here at 11 p.m.
Bring the good with avocados from Mexico. Whether you're listening, snacking, or simply enjoying the moment, spark the joy with every bite. Bring the good flavor, rich and craveable.
Avocados from Mexico.
Always good.
The world's best bull riders. 1 shot, 8 seconds, no mercy. The rankest bulls in the sport are waiting. This is professional bull riding. Watch it live as we unleash the beast. This weekend from Florida State University, only on Paramount Plus.
Las Culturistas.
Matt and Bowen have updated the rules of culture, and you are currently in violation. Catch up immediately. Search Las Culturistas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Maps app that came with your phone? It's fine if you enjoy waiting and guessing and inefficient routes. Or you could use MapQuest. MapQuest is back with live directions, real-time traffic, and faster routes. It moves when you move. Best of all, no printer needed. No paper. No more missed turns. Just you and the app. Get there fast with MapQuest. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit MapQuest.com. MapQuest, still getting you there.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Running for office means having something important to say. Radio is the most personal medium out there. Voters hear the real you, exactly the way you want to be heard. No filters, no AI, just your voice, your message. And it's 1/10 the time and cost of video. Don't just campaign. Connect with millions all over the country, even thousands in the smallest communities with radio. Call now and be on the air in just 48 hours. 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Right now at Steel Round Rock GMC, the road to a new GMC has never been better. You get the Steel Standard, over $1,400 of protection for free, plus huge discounts, like $13,000 off 2026 GMC 1500s or $5,000 off 2026 GMC Canyons. We've also made it easier than ever to find a vehicle to fit your budget, like a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 lease for just $249 a month, because everything we do is driven by you. Steel GMC in Round Rock. GMC, we are professional grade.
From the Odoo.com Traffic Center, Odoo.com, the only business software you'll need.
We're going to check on Mopac northbound between Barton Skyway and Far West. You're going to be in it an extra 15 minutes. The backup, that is. Mopac southbound between 2222 and Cesar Chavez. That looks like that's about 13 minutes added to your drive. And then we do have an accident with the left lane block, 290 eastbound at Palmer Lane. Looks like they're about to clear it, though, because it's under a 5-minute delay. I'm Kat Cortez with your Austin area traffic.
This report is sponsored by WeatherBug.
Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provides real-time customizable alerts, so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan everything. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like iHeartRadio Cafe, mellow classic rock, singer-songwriters of all time,
Take it easy.
Billy Joel, Carly Simon, James Taylor, Elton John, Carole King, and more.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man.
Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search iHeartRadio Cafe, and listen now.
iHeartRadio.
Free never sounded so good.
Back to Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns on 1300 The Zone. Back to the Craig Way Show. Connect with Craig through the text line by texting ZONE to 81530, followed by your message. Standard message and data rates may apply.
It was a slow day, and the sun was beating on the soldiers by the side of the road.
Yeah, I know it's a little on the nose here, Craig. Bumping back with the boy in the bubble from Paul Simon. We're purely in bubble watch mode here this afternoon on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Tennessee's on a 15-0 run in the last 5.5 minutes. They've taken control of this thing against Auburn.
Yeah, now 17-0 after getting 2 more points of the foul line. They were down 51-41, and they're up 58-51, 4:27 to go. Now they just committed a foul, and so Auburn will have a chance to change that on the line with a 1-and-1 coming up. But it's amazing how quickly things can turn around, because Auburn was controlling the tempo, the pace. Tennessee was turning the ball over. They were struggling, but this is a talented enough team, and obviously they've got an outstanding coach in Rick Barnes, who can get them turned around quickly enough at the under 8 timeout, which is what happened. And then now Auburn has just missed the front end of the 1-and-1. So the run continues down the stretch. And again, this would help Texas, ironically. Here's a couple of points of irony here, Jake. Last night, after the Longhorns lost to Ole Miss, and the way they do it in the tournament is, until the championship game, what they do is they take the coach from the winning team and players first. They go in and do this because they've got another game to play, and they got to get them back to the hotel and get them rested and all that other kind of stuff. So they have to do that. So Chris Beard and Ole Miss had their press conference up first, and Beard was asked about Texas, and he said, "No, I think they belong in the tournament. Sean knows what he's doing. This is it's a talented team. I think they can cause some trouble. They deserve to be in." So he was advocating for Texas. Here's one former coach. The other former coach can help them if his team goes on and it's a 19-0 run, they're up 9 at the under 4 timeout. This is all changed in 4 minutes. At the under 8, they were down 10 at 51-41. And since then, they've gone on this 19-0 run to turn it around. Obviously, it would help Texas immensely if Tennessee. It may not completely rescue the Longhorns, but put it this way. A loss for Tennessee would hurt Texas' chances on the bubble far more than a win helps them, but every little bit helps. And that's why I said even Missouri now falling into the last 4 in along with Texas after its loss to Kentucky today is another example of that.
Yeah, fascinating stuff here. I know this Tennessee team has really leaned on its offense a lot more than maybe past Rick Barnes teams has, but these last 5-6 minutes or so have looked like a 2022 or 23 Tennessee team, the way they've really shut things down for Auburn. One other thing we're watching is, as far as games that are impactful for Texas today, and that's the Mountain West. You really want Utah State to win the Mountain West if you're Texas.
That's correct. Chalk across the board. The Longhorns need a lot of chalk, and that's what happened last year when they had so much chalk. That's what got North Carolina into the field, quite frankly. They were the last team in. They had one quad one victory. Uno. They had one. Like I said, Texas has 6, and they have 4 wins over ranked opponents, and they have those 3 big road wins. So they have put positives in every category. It's just that big negative of the 14 losses is what's hurting. And let's be honest, losing 5 of your last 6 games. Now, the one win was a big road win at Texas A&M, and those losses were against teams that are either going to be in the field or on the outside trying to get. Oklahoma's kind of moved its way into that up the ladder from being not even considered, according to Joe Lunardi, to next 4 out, now in the first 4 out. So the Sooners have a gigantic game for them against. They're in much the same position Auburn is in today against Tennessee. That's the position Oklahoma is in as they face Texas A&M this evening.
So, Craig, because of the Longhorn loss, you had a chance to go out and try the long-awaited, much-discussed, opportunity missed by McDonald's and perhaps Texas, the Big Arch. And I got my hands on one this afternoon as well. What have we got in terms of a review? This is a blind review reveal.
Yeah, you haven't heard how I feel about this. I did. There was time left. By the time we got off the air, and our post game included a visit with York Malagy. We always visit with the Longhorn assistant coach, but we were able to bring folks the Texas news conference, because by the time that Sean Miller and Dalen Swain, stepped into the press conference, and Jordan Pope, by the time they got into the press conference, we had run through just about all of our post-game elements. So the timing worked out perfectly. We were getting to our last full segment, and we had a monitor right in front of us, and all of a sudden we'd seen Chris Beard in there and the Ole Miss players, and they got up and left. And then Sean Miller comes down, and Cameron Parker, who's engineer for it, found a patch feed to get it into our audio system. And so we were able to do it and said, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And boom. And we were able to carry it. The other side of that is, because of that, and because of carrying all of that at that point, extended our post game. And so by the time that was done, and then remember, Oklahoma was getting ready to play South Carolina and was starting right behind. So we're trying to pack up, and it's, really kind of tight around there. So they were, we're going through all of this, trying to make sure by the time we got everything packed up and then got out of there, it was too late. I guess we probably could have, but the spread that's put out for the team and for the staff and for the other people there. By the way, Auburn just ended that 20-0 run for Tennessee with a 3-pointer, but Tennessee is up 7 with 3:40 to go. So we'll keep people posted on this. So anyway, we knew we were going to have to get something to eat. And Cameron was going to bed because he had the early wake-up call to go to fly home with the men. Eddie Orton, who I haven't even mentioned this yet, my broadcast partner, deserves some congratulations because Eddie became a grandfather yesterday for the first time. Yeah, his son Taylor and his wife had a baby boy yesterday. So Eddie, once the game was over, took off. He drove straight through back to Austin through the night last night.
Wow.
Yeah. So Eddie drove back, and Grandpa made it back safely, and new Mama and new Daddy and new baby and Grandpapa are all fine. They're all really, really good. So at that point, it's like, well, I need to get something to eat, and it just so happened that right down the street from the hotel was a McDonald's, and I thought, is this the time? Is this the time? Yeah, it's the time. Mainly because I didn't want to go out and, find something else to go to a restaurant. I was kind of tired after calling the game. So I thought, now's the time. So I went down to McDonald's and just went through the drive-through meal and got the big arch meal that comes with that burger and the fries and the soda. And I took it back to the hotel. And so I took some photos of it to share with you and with Cam. It's okay. It's okay. And this coming from a guy who for years has been such a big fan of the Big Mac. In fact, I was probably unfairly comparing it to the Big Mac because it was kind of set up like that with a special sauce and stuff. But to me, I didn't think it was as good as the Big Mac.
No,
I didn't. The sauce, which they're really excited about, was a little on the tangy side for me.
That was the letdown for me. The letdown for me was the sauce.
Yeah, and that's supposedly the big selling point. The burger itself was a lot like, it was constructed a lot like their quarter pounder. And there's two patties. There's 2 quarter-pound patties. So if you were to get a quarter pounder with cheese, the quarter pounder, the patty itself, or let's say you ordered one without the cheese and you just had a regular quarter-pound burger, the patty itself, I think, is identical to the one that they use in the regular quarter pounder. There's just 2 of them. But the big and then they have the onions. I didn't really get a big taste sensation. They have both the slivered and the crispy, whatever. I didn't get a real big taste sensation out of that. But the sauce was kind of a letdown for me too. And it's supposed to be, what did we say? A combination of the best things with pickle and tomato and mustard and all something. It's just, for whatever reason, it wasn't bad. Would I order it again? I'd have to be hungry, pretty hungry, to get a burger like that, because I would probably just as soon go ahead and get a Big Mac if I was getting one from McDonald's. Now, I know what a lot of folks are saying, what are you even talking about McDonald's? Go to Whataburger. And I'm in agreement with you. And there's independent burger joints that I really, really like. And then there's other joints I like, Mighty Fine and Five Guys. I mean, I'm a burger guy. I like them. But I'm just talking about from a McDonald's perspective. If that was my choice and I had to go into McDonald's, would I order a Big Mac or would I order a Big Arch? And the answer is it'd be a Big Mac. I mean, I'm not trashing it. I'm just saying they have a burger in their own house that I think is topping this burger that they're really trumpeting these days.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 5 or 6 updates on this at Inconceivable. That built it up a lot in my head in terms of the hype for the Big Arch. I thought it was good, not great. Mine was a little bit oversauced, and the sauce, like you said, was kind of the letdown portion of it. It left kind of a weird sour aftertaste for me. I also don't think I've ever drank 3 of these during a show, but that burger was so salty that I am just downing water as we do the show today. So I think it was okay. Would I order it again? Probably not. Now, the pancake you had this morning, on the other hand, Craig, tell us about that, because Kathy Harston might have given you a pretty solid recommendation right there.
Yeah, it's a legendary place. I'd heard of the place, but Kathy is the one who said, you absolutely have to go there. If you go there, sometimes she was telling me that when I came up here for football 2 years ago. The name of the place is Pancake Pantry. It's been around for more than 50 years, and the people in Nashville obviously know about it. It's over in the Vanderbilt area near the kind of a student drag area down there. And they have, I think they said 23 varieties of pancakes or something like that. They have all different kinds. And I'm normally a really big, one of my favorite breakfasts. If you were to ask me what my favorite breakfast is, I would tell you it's blueberry pancakes with link sausage. That's my favorite, and a glass of orange juice. That's my favorite breakfast. However, it's hard to get blueberry pancakes exactly how I want them. I'm not a big fan of the compote that's poured over the top. I would rather just have the blueberries, and not real big ones, but just, blueberries in the batter, make the pancakes, and then use real maple syrup. I had some in Vermont one time with that Vermont maple syrup that was, the kind you get, it looks like you get in a can, in an oil can, and it's tremendous. And so that's what I like. And they had blueberry pancakes on the menu, and they had the compote list on the top, although it said it had blueberries on the inside. So probably I could have just said leave off the compote, which I've done in some other places, and it would have been fine. But then I saw this other item, and it's called the Caribbean, or as JFK used to call it, the Caribbean.
That's what I think of when I think about pancakes.
Yeah. So what it was 4 pancakes, and it had bananas, and it wasn't like little banana slices that you would get on a bowl of cereal or something like that. It wasn't like that. It was like they took a banana and split it in half and did two whole bananas like that, and put the slices on the ends like that. The split it right down the middle. So they had that. Then they had chopped pecans that they pour all over it. And then they have, in addition to that, they have shaved coconut, and they put that on top of it. So that's why they call it the Caribbean. And then I used some maple syrup. They also had another syrup that was an interesting combination of like brown sugar and evaporated milk. And it was pretty good. It was a little on the sweet side, but it was really good. But I like the maple syrup better. So yes, Pancake Pantry. Obviously, I recommend it. It was something else. Was Pancake Pantry. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, Kathy Harston, my broadcast partner on Texas women's basketball, from her time when she was the operations director under the late Pat Summitt, and this was after Jody Conrad retired as the head coach at Texas. And Kathy, of course, was her number 1 assistant. Kathy left and then went to Tennessee and was Pat Summitt's director of basketball operations. A fabulous job as that. Well, obviously they played Vanderbilt a lot and played Nashville a lot. So she got introduced to Pancake Pantry. Now she warned me. She said, you got to get there early. That people start standing in line outside at like 5 a.m. I said, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not standing outside at 5 a.m., especially it's 40 degrees here, sunny but cold. So I said, I'm not doing that. I said, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I got up and I drive over there, and I could see a line, but it wasn't a long line outside the door. It was a little bit of a line outside the door. And I found a place to park on the street. I got lucky on that. So in doing so, I was able to park and then go, and I probably waited between 10 and 15 minutes, something like that. And so it was worth it. It was good. And if I get a chance to go back, I'll go back.
We always like hearing the travelogue. And before we let you go, Craig, by the way, Tennessee on the free throw line, shooting 2 up 66-61 here in the last minute, trying to see this through against Auburn, potentially.
They've missed a bunch of free throws, Jake. Down the stretch, they could have been up by 15 or more. But now Kobe Gillespie's putting it away there on the line, hopefully, again, from the Texas person. And let me also say this. I have nothing against Stephen Pearl, the coach at Auburn, but Rick Barnes is a friend. I got to know him and worked closely with him. In fact, 10 minutes, this happened today, 10 minutes before the Volunteers were to go back out on the floor, assistant coach Brian Lentz, who was been part of Rick Barnes' staff, and I've gotten to know him over the years. Brian Lentz saw me, walked across the floor and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I told him, and he said, "Come on back. Coach will want to see you. Come on back. Come on back." I said, "We're pretty close." He goes, "Come on. So he leads me back, and Rick's hanging out back in the room. He gives me a big hug and asks about Eddie's grandson and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's that connection of working with Rick Barnes for 16 years. And so I, obviously when Texas plays him, I want Texas to win, but otherwise I'm rooting for him because the kind of guy he is and how generous he is. And hey, he's the one, since we bring this thing full circle and talk about food, he's the one who introduced me to Monell's, the place we were at the other night with all the home cooking. He took me over there in 2012. So yeah, I'd like to see them hold on. They're up 6 with 36 seconds to go. So hopefully they can hold on because it also benefits Texas. So we'll hope and see.
Nice to double dip in that aspect. Craig, you're one of the busiest broadcasters, especially this time of year. Are you coming home on Selection Sunday, or are you going to wait there and see perhaps where the Longhorns end up if they're in the tournament?
Both. I'm doing the championship game, but I'm calling the championship game with Tony Delk, the former Kentucky All-American, and that game's at noon. So I have a very early evening flight. So I will watch the Selection Sunday selection show from the Nashville International Airport. That's right, but before I board my flight.
But you'll have the flight booked, so you might be tagging up in Austin and then going right back out to Ohio.
That's entirely possible. Last year when the Longhorns had to play in Dayton, they got beat on Friday in the quarterfinals. They won 2 games. They beat Vanderbilt and they beat Texas A&M, and then lost in the quarterfinals to Tennessee. I came home. I did baseball the rest of the weekend on that, and then turned right around and we flew out on Monday, on Monday evening. So, it's that time of year. You've heard me call it overlap. Some call it crossover, and that's fair too. I got used to calling it the overlap because it overlaps for me, my broadcast assignments for in the fall. Football, basketball is overlap, as I say, Roman numeral 1. This one, overlap Roman numeral 2, is even busier because there's more games. You got men's and women's basketball games, so you got both of those, and then you got baseball. So that's the reasoning and the logic behind all that.
Craig, thanks a bunch for all the time. Where can fans who are here in Austin going to be watching the SEC tournament find your call of the games coming up?
I believe it's going to be on Sirius XM. I think it's on the SEC channel, which I think is 190. I believe it is. So it's on that. It's online. So there's several different places where folks can find that as well. But hopefully, folks are listening to Roger and Keith call the baseball series against Ole Miss this weekend, and giving Andrew Haynes a listen as Texas softball is back home as well. So it's a busy time and it's an exciting time, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Craig, enjoy the rest of the downtime you get before it picks right back up in Nashville for you tomorrow.
I'm going to head one block down there. Tennessee, by the way, we can close this out by saying Tennessee has closed it out. They've beaten Auburn 72-62. The Volunteers closed that game on a 21-11 run.
More than that.
Yeah, it was a 31. Let's see. It was 51-41. That's what it yeah. It was 61-51. They closed it on 21 to run. One run? No, that's not right because Auburn
31-11.
Thank you. Math is hard for me sometimes, especially
me
right now. 31-11 run to win. It does help Texas. Will it be enough to help? Depends on how the rest of the weekend goes. Root for chalk if you're a Longhorn fan. We'll see. But what I started to say is I'm one block from the arena, so I'm going to go back over and watch the evening session here in a little bit.
Craig, enjoy that. We'll be watching as well. Talk to you soon.
You bet. See you.
All right, time for a break. When we come back, a couple more updates on some games impacting Texas's bubble chances here on AM 1300 The Zone.
From the ABA Heating and Cooling Weather Center, this is Zone Weather.
Austin area weather calling for clear skies tonight. A low of 44, sunny and warmer tomorrow, a high of 82, and a low tomorrow night of 54.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell's new Luxe Value menu has 10 lavish indulgences, all $3 or less. It's easy to get carried away. Like when you try the new mini taco salad, you ask, do I need a salad fork? The fork in the bag's fine. Luxe Value menu at participating locations while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Tax extra.
Meet iPhone 17e. A whole lot for a lot less. With an almighty, all-powerful A19 chip. And Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this. And this. And a 48 megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom and next-gen portraits, and double the starting storage of iPhone 16e, and long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence, and you can charge it with USB-C or with MagSafe accessories, and a whole lot more, all for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at T-Mobile today.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TODAY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Steel Hyundai and Kyle is your destination for transparent pricing and customer value. Plus the Steel Standard. We add over $1,400 in protection for free. Drive home a sleek new 2026 Hyundai Elantra SE lease for just $199 a month. Or upgrade to the versatile 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE lease for only $259 a month. Plus, every new Hyundai comes backed by America's Best Warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile, and owner assurance. Everything we do is driven by you. Steel Hyundai and Kyle or SteelHyundaiKyle.com.
Your entire sports feed all in one place with iHeartRadio. Tournament coverage.
Launches a three. Got it.
NFL free agency.
Buffalo's got their quarterback, their running back. Now they've got their number one.
And the first pitch of the new baseball season. At the wall! Oh, my goodness! You're one tap away. Open the iHeart app and stream your local sports stations. Catch the latest news on Fox Sports Radio or dive into the world's biggest sports podcasts. Open the free app, search sports, and listen now.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free original stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Cross Country. Cross Country is the sound of Americana, blending country, rock, and America's greatest songwriters. Bob Dylan and Bonnie Raitt to Chris Stapleton and Zach Bryan. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Cross Country, and listen now. Free never sounded so good.
It's the Morning Kickoff Show with Mike Hardball Harsh and Mark Henry. Weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. Only on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Welcome back to the Craig Way Show and the voice of the Longhorns, Craig Way. Follow Craig on social media at Horn Boys.
I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair. And I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah, Steelers wheel. Longhorns hope that no bid Steelers keep them out of this year's edition of March Madness while they await their fate, kind of in bubble purgatory at the moment. We've been tracking games all day that impact Texas's chances of getting into the field of 68, even if it means a trip to Dayton to play in the first four, a repeat appearance potentially there from last year. Kind of a weird lull in the slate right now. Longhorns not necessarily getting as many results today to help them as much as they were yesterday. I mentioned Seton Hall, a bubble team who is playing like their life is on the line. They came up with a victory in the Big East tournament, earning a trip to the semifinals to take on St. John's tomorrow. The final score earlier today, Seton Hall beating Creighton 72-61. So that game, one that Texas could have used a Seton Hall loss, because it's possible the Pirates can play their way into the field by making a statement against St. John's, even if they were to lose in the next round of that tournament. Mentioned the Mountain West, San Diego State sitting on the bubble from that league, as is New Mexico, the 3 seed. The 2 and the 3 seed still alive there. We talked about in the last segment how Utah State winning would benefit Texas. Chalk, chalk, chalk is the name of the game. And Utah State doing its part with an 80-60 victory over UNLV. That was game 1 of the day at the Thomas & Mack Center in Vegas. St. John's beat Providence 85-62. Mentioned they are set up to face Seton Hall. Ohio State earlier today took down Iowa 72-69. That does kind of cement the Buckeyes spot in the tournament. They've had a really nice season for Jake Diebler in his first year, kind of turning the Buckeyes around. Their offense really started to come into its own as of late. And in the MAC, where Miami, Ohio lost its perfect season this morning against UMass, Akron, now the presumptive favorite to win the conference, leads Buffalo 63-56. We'll be right back to wrap up today's edition of the show, tell you about a special edition coming up tomorrow right here on The Zone.
It's Bucky and BK.
I chewed that bubble gum and swallowed it.
Why?
Because I was a gum swallower.
Really?
I never threw my gum away. I swallowed my gum. It was like a meal. You were never a gum swallower as a kid?
No.
Once the juice was out of mine, I'd swallow it like I just had lunch.
You were a swallower and not a spitter, huh?
That was a little weird thing I had. That and the fact that I liked the smell of gasoline when I was a kid.
Catch Bucky and BK weekday afternoons from 5 to 7 on AM 1300 The Zone.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. It's getting wild on the court, and Specs has the assist to take this tournament to a legendary new level. You know the drill. Stock up on delicious finds for every tip-off, upset, and overtime thriller. When you score savings with Specs, it's nothing but net. Don't wait for the buzzer. Run the perfect play with Specs wines, spirits, and finer foods. The lowest prices in Texas.
Hi there, I'm John O'Hurley. You know, our pets are beloved family members. But sadly, though, there are so many dogs that get euthanized every day due to the lack of funding. To give them a chance at adoption, I invite you to support Puppy Food Bank. Thanks to generous donors like you, all of the food sent to pet shelters from Puppy Food Bank never comes with a bill. So please go to puppyfoodbank.org and make a generous, caring $15 donation every month. Your donation will absolutely save pet lives.
Searching online for a car? When you call that dealership, your first question should be, are there any extra costs to the price on your website? At Henna Chevrolet, our answer will always be no. Their answer, you don't want to know. Shop surprise fee free with Henna, where the price you see is the price you get. Absolutely no addendums ever. You deserve honesty, and that's what we run on. Together, let's drive at henna.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Austin, San Antonio, and St. Louis.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey boys, it's Kylie, and I have some exciting news. The grand opening of Texas' #1 sports bar, Rowdy Cowboy in Round Rock, is tomorrow. The doors swing open at 11 in the morning. Rowdy Cowboy has 69 Texas-sized screens, legendary wings, burgers, signature steaks, and the coldest beer under the Texas sun. The smoking hot Rowdy Cowgirls are ready to give you an unforgettable experience that will have you coming back for more. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, take a peek at GoRowdyCowboy.com. Rowdy Cowboy. Eat, drink, bottoms up.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
Daphne Caruana Galizia was a Maltese investigative journalist and blogger who spent her life fighting for truth, justice, and decency in a country overrun by corruption. But on October 16, 2017, she was assassinated.
There are crooks everywhere you look now. The situation is desperate.
Malta is a tourist paradise, but underneath its extraordinary beauty, there are some dark, dark shadows. This is a place where dark power and dark money likes to hang out. And if you try and tell truth to that dark money and that dark power, if you're a journalist, it can be a very dangerous place indeed.
They were asleep in their own beds, and somebody piled rubber tires out the back of the house and set them alight.
These are 5 car bombs within the space of a year, and nothing was done about it.
I was shaking. It was a mixture of anger and fear.
From iHeart Podcasts, Topic Studios, and Vespucci, this is Crooks Everywhere. My name is Manuel Delia, former political operative turned journalist.
I'm John Sweeney, a former BBC journalist and investigative reporter. Together, we unravel the web of deception, exposing the dangerous forces at play in Malta.
Crooks Everywhere.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Longhorns basketball plays here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Craig Way Show. We really appreciate everyone who stuck with us. Evan Vieth from InsideTexas joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. And of course, we got to catch up with Craig just a couple of segments back. He's still in Nashville, and we will look forward to hearing his calls of the rest of the SEC tournament coming up tomorrow during our usual show time slot. We've got a special program live from Rowdy Cowboy in Round Rock. You'll have Mike Hardball Harge, Mark Henry, Cameron Parker, and BK joining you for an extended edition of the program from 2 to 6:15. We'll see you there, here on AM 1300 The Zone.